All right, Desiree Smith, welcome back to the Art of Dialogue. I am Penny Isaac, and we got some to get into tonight, Desiree. Okay, are you ready to get into the
I'm ready. I stay ready. What's
Okay.
up?
Okay, well, first of all, how are you tonight?
I'm amazing. How are you?
I'm doing good. I was a little nervous before we started, but like now I'm like in my element and I'm really excited to be talking to you tonight. I'm serious.
Oh, the feeling is
So
mutual,
thank you for the
Penny. Thank
opportunity.
you. Mm.
So most of us Pac fans know you as the girl in most of his jail photos. It's safe to say that out of all of the women he was dealing with at the time, you were up at the prison the most. But I wanted to get your start, like from your beginning. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how it was growing up in the Bronx back in the day.
Stop and rewind. I was born in the Bronx, but I didn't grow up in the Bronx.
Oh, okay. So where did you grow up?
So I was not an army brat, but I moved around a lot. But I was born in the Bronx, and straight from there went to Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, and then I kind of like moved around. I lived in Trinidad. I lived in Texas. I lived in Georgia, but my home bases was uh, Bed-Stuy and Midtown Manhattan, or Hell's Kitchen as it was formerly known.
Okay. Now did you grow up around any celebrities or anything like that? Like back in Brooklyn when you were coming up?
Actually, in Midtown Manhattan, I grew up around Lisa, Terrence Howard, spent summers in the city as well, and this other actor, but not too many rappers or people like that I grew up around, but a few actors and a singer.
Okay, perfect. And what was it like coming up in Bed-Stuy around that time? Like, you're either a late teenager or like in your early 20s in the 90s. So what was it? What was the environment like?
It was electric. It was different than it is now. Everything is gentrified, but it was music. It was culture. It was uh, blacks, rights. Yusuf Hawkins. We had a mural on our block actually dedicated to him, and it was the culture. Gold earrings, the music, the cars. It was a vibe.
What about the bash? Was you getting into bash?
Was I getting
Desiree,
into that?
what was you getting into? I heard you say before that you was a bad girl in one of your interviews.
I
So what were
mean,
you?
I was outside. I was running the streets with my friends. I was a tomboy though, what nobody would actually realize. So I was outside getting into um, breaking curfew, getting in trouble, but not too much bad. Just enough.
Okay.
At that time and age, we rode the trains, we hopped the trains, we cut school, we did a whole, hooky parties. So I just wasn't like a, good girl, go straight to school, come home. Although my father tried to make me, but yeah, I was a wild child. I enjoyed my teens and my 20s.
Oh my gosh, I give anything to be like a young adult in the 90s. I swear, y'all had everything.
One of the best parts of the 90s was you could go to any club and there was no such thing as a VIP area. It was everyone. It was if a celebrity was in the club, you jump on stage, you perform. It was a time, and you'd be standing somewhere, and then Busta will be here. Tribe Called Quest. Anybody. That's like just anybody from that era that was a New York rapper was all over the club scene. And it was every night. It was, just didn't matter who you was. We all were together. We all were one, and we partied. We danced. We had a good time. We didn't stand around on our phones and just, trying to take pictures for social media. Like that's kind of one of the things I do regret is even to this day though, I'm not always taking pictures of everything. I enjoy life and moments. And
Hmm.
but that's one time I wish I had cameras because it was just so many people and so many things going around it. it's like you wouldn't be able to believe it unless you saw it.
Take me back through the night when you were out at Club Muse and you meet Tupac for the first time. Everything down to what you had on and what he had on, if you can remember it.
Okay. So I was not trying to go out. I was heartbroken. I had caught my boy, the guy I was seeing in the club with his man's girlfriend, and I was sad. And my friend was like, "Nah, we're gonna go out. We're gonna shake this off. Come on, get dressed. I'm coming to get you." Go to the club, moping around the whole night, trying to have a good time. Um, think what I had on. If I could remember, let me get back to that because I got to get the whole vision going. But I remember that um, some people were performing, and then they announced that Bobby Brown had stepped into the club. I didn't know who Tupac was at the time. Didn't know nothing about him. And my girlfriend went batshit crazy, was like, "Oh my God, I gotta meet him." Ah. Okay. So she grabs me and drags me from one side of the club to the other side because it's like a stage. And we're on this side. The stage is here. And Bobby Brown gets on. He's singing. I'm being dragged through the crowd. And then Pac and Biggie get on there and they do that song they have together. And then as they're coming off the stage, we get to the VIP entrance and we get bombarded with all these people, their entourage. And I don't know how Pac just materialized in front of me and her. And Bobby Brown was next to him. And my girlfriend told Bob, well, she thought she was saying to Bobby Brown, "Where are you going without me?" And Pac heard her and was like, "Oh, really? It's like that?" And I'm just standing there like, what the hell? Because my friend is kind of on the conceited side. So this is like another side of her I never saw. And everybody just started pushing out. And we're standing like how I'm looking at you right now. And Pac standing in front of me like you are. And he grabbed both of us and just, made sure we got out safely. But as soon as we got out, he let her go. Like we were just kind of like staring at each. I never said one word to him. He ain't say nothing to me. Then he said, "What's your name?" And we started talking once we got outside. And I just felt like I was being hypnotized, for a lack of a better word. I really did. I was like those eyes, his voice, his face, everything. I was just like, who are you? Like, where did you come from? Like, why are you talking to, like, what is this? And then, he was like, yo, whatever, they rolling up, smoking. He's like, what's up? What you doing? Like, what's up? You want to come hang out? We can smoke. We're going to go do this. The club's all closed. So I'm like, all right, I'm thinking, my girlfriend's going to go like, on a little adventure. He asked her and she's like, uh-uh. And he was like, okay. And he was like, well, you still want to come? And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go. And he's like, you sure? Whatever. She was like, nah, I ain't going with y'all. And he's like, all right, platinum. He's like, you go home and polish your platinum, baby girl. He was like, I'm going to go home with gold over here. Like, he was like, you're still a little stuck. I was like, no, But that was how we met. And Big was there. Another one of his friends, his tour manager, and another female. So we all went to the, ironically, it was, what's this hotel on 57th Street? The same hotel he got arrested in, the Parker Meridian.
Parker
That
Meridian.
was the first place. He had a suite, and we all went there. We're smoking, we're drinking for a little while, and we're talking, chopping it up. And I was like, it. This is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it. So I stayed with him the night, and I did not regret it. Had the time of my life. And
Now I gotta ask you on a scale of 1 to 10.
11. 11. The energy, the pack, everything, total package, energy, rough when he needs to be and gentle when he don't need to be.
So none of this in his songs was fake. It was all
Oh
real.
no.
Like all the letter, everything he wrote in the letters, everything in the songs, it was all real.
He was
As far as like
he
his
was a
love making
very
abilities.
absolutely, but overall he's just a transparent person. He couldn't help it. So, absolutely. I heard about what happened at that video shoot after that video with him and Jodeci or Casey and JoJo or whatever. I believe it. He definitely got that type of
Yeah.
energy.
You talking about the threesome between him, Heather Hunter, and Angel Kelly, right? And Nina Hartley.
That
Or the foursome, I would say.
that's yeah, I could believe that. I
Oh
don't
my
know.
gosh.
And thank God I didn't want to know at the time, but yeah.
Okay, so I remember you mentioning previously that you had lost your beeper. So how did you two get in contact with each other after that first encounter, your first night?
Yeah. So I lose everything. I'm getting better at it, but yeah, I lost my two-way pager. You know what's ironic is that I recently found um, a picture that I had, and on the back of that picture has his two-way pager number in his handwriting
Wow.
that he gave to me. I was like, wow. But yeah, I lost my Sky pager or whatever it was called back then, and I went out one night with my same girlfriend, and Big sees us. And he recognizes us and he's like, hey, how you know what's up? How you doing? Whatever. And he's like, oh, you know, Pac's in town. And I'm like, nah, I don't because I lost my pager. And he was like, oh nah, I know he would want to see you again. He was like, hold on. He was like, don't go nowhere. He's like, before the night's over, he was like, I'm gonna get back to you. So I'm like, all right, cool, whatever, you know. And sure enough, before them lights came on in that club, Big pulled up in front of me and was like, yeah, I spoke to him. You know, I'm gonna take you to where he's at. I'm like, okay. In hindsight, I'm not sure if he spoke to him, but we all went down to the Hemsley Hotel, and the people that were performing at him, because that was like the day before he did MTV Unplugged. So like David Hollister was there. You know, they had like a lot of people, and they just had suites, and everybody was hanging out, smoking, drinking. So we're chilling there. I'm like, you know, my girlfriend's with me this time. And you know, like waiting for him to come, and lo and behold, it turns around. It's like 5, 6 in the morning, and we left the club at 4. So it's like 6 something, 6:30, and Pac knocks on the door, and somebody tells me go get the door. So I go get the door, and I open it, and he sees me, and he's like, "This is how I know Big didn't speak to him, because he wasn't happy. He was like, what are you doing here? Like that's like." And I was like,
Like this what
oh,
we doing?
exactly. That's exactly. I think that's along the lines of what he said first. And then he's like, what, like, and I was like, nah, Big told me he was here. He told me, you know, I thought he, whatever. So we chopped it up. And he's like, well, I'm about to go, you know, I got to go do some press runs. And I want you to meet me back at the hotel, you know, go get yourself together. And he's like, we going to go out on a date, you know, and he told me come back around 7 o'clock, which I definitely did. And that was the
You was on
start.
it.
It had to be. I
And
shouldn't.
they tell you to come at 7, you're coming at 7.
The way
Period.
them butterflies worked, I floated all the way home and all the way back. So
Oh my gosh. So okay, so just rewinding it back a little bit, how was he and Biggie's relationship at the time? And also, I wanted to ask you, why do you think Biggie lied? Like, do you think his intention was to surprise Tupac that night, or what do you think
you
happened?
know, I never really thought about it, but you know how men are. Maybe you know my girlfriend was cute. Maybe he's like, all right, I'm gonna take them to where they at. Maybe I don't know. He didn't. The funny thing is, Big didn't do nothing funny. He didn't do anything that caused alarm. But I have no idea why. And their relationship was good at that time, very good. They were very close. Every time he came to New York, they was linking up, hanging out. So you know, not that I had seen when I went to the hotel, and even when I stayed there, Big stayed there the night as well. So the first night I was there, but I got to, know the dynamics a little better as time went on. That was only my second time being around both of them. So
Okay. Okay. Now, were you dating anybody during the time that you met Tupac? I know you just said that you
I
you talked to him,
was.
but
So yeah, I was dating the guy before him, and then after I was talking to him, I started dating this guy in Brooklyn that I was talking to.
so how did they measure up? Like, how did basically what I want to know is how did dating Tupac affect your dating life at the time
At
with
that
like these
time,
other guys?
at that
Yeah,
time, not so much because I didn't know him that well. I had just like got to know him, but I was so, I gotta find the right word besides excited. Like it just like he lit a fire inside of me that
like captivated. Like he just had you like, ugh.
like yeah, I just, and I don't think I'm the only one. I think it's a lot of other females that have been through that with him, where it's just like you would do anything, damn near, not anything, but damn near close to anything.
Yeah.
And
No, they all say that Tupac was the love of their life. I swear
yeah,
to God, every interview I've seen, everybody I talked to,
hmm
he just they said that he had the ability to make you feel like you were the only girl in the world, like the only girl in the world that mattered.
absolutely. Absolutely. But he didn't do it with, at least in my end, I don't know how they feel, and I have to say they probably would say similarly. He didn't do it with manipulation and lies. It just was
Yeah.
him. It's not like, he was sitting there blowing smoke up your ass. He wasn't that type of person. He'll tell you what it is and what it ain't. But when I'm with you right now in this moment, nothing else in the world matters.
Oh
And
my God,
that,
what a dream. Why
you,
you having
cause
what a
I'm,
dream?
I'm
Like
laughing because I'm thinking about them cartoons with the cats and stuff when they're in love, like, and they just floating in their toes, and I'm like, Lord, I know that was me at the time.
oh my gosh. Okay, so you said in a previous interview that Pac wasn't the type to take you out to like clubs and party. Like, that wasn't like your dating night. So
Mm-mm.
what were some fun things that y'all would do that the world don't know about?
Um,
Was he romantic with?
he was fun, romantic, as in sending flowers, and that's an interesting one. His romantic wasn't the typical romantic, but the letting you in to see his vulnerability and things like that, I feel more so was his level of trust with you, and what he shared was that part. We did. He liked to go to movies. He liked to cook in the house, and we did go to a club or two, but it wasn't nothing planned. It just happened to be.
Okay. So what was like, do you have a favorite date night with you and Tupac? Or do you recall a specific date that just had you like, oh my gosh, like this man is everything?
Hmm, what had me swooning like that? I think one time we were at the Royalton. Mostly when I saw him, though, I would meet up with him wherever he was staying. I'd come stay there, or if I went on a trip with him somewhere. But those trips were a lot of times business, so we would do other things. But I can't give you a specific like date night. Um, being in Atlanta with him, being with his family, um, actually, what was somewhat romantic to me, or showed, you know, a side of him that I hadn't normally seen, was like very protective of me. He was playing with all the guys at the Outlaws and some of his family members in front of his house, and they were playing football. And he put all his jewelry on me. So the boys started like playing with me, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna rob her," and like they're like, like doing that stuff. And like he ran down and was like, "Leave my baby alone," just things like that. It was more homegrown experiences than it was outside. Like we went out to eat when I came to visit him, and it was the whole crew. But majority of the time spent when we weren't just one on one was around his friends and his peoples. And those times were fun because it was just the laughing, the joking, and even I got in on that because I got to know these people as spending time with them through the years. So, you know.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
Um,
Pammy. I don't have that. I'm like trying to rack my brain, but I'm like,
oh no. I mean, sometimes it's just that some niggas just got juice that every time you meet, there is no special time because all of
every
the
time
times are
is
special
special.
when
It
you
is.
when you meet him.
Another
I
time,
get it.
though, that does stand out is that he was coming from LA and I was supposed to meet him at Quad Studios. And this is maybe a month or two before he got shot there. His flight was delayed, and he told me he was going to get in late. He was like, just go to the crib. I'll get up with you later. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Thinking, oh, maybe he's got something else going on, whatever. But he got in finally, went to the studio, laid down the track, and like, so I was at the studio by 9. By like 12:30, 1 o'clock, I remember him calling me, and he was outside of my house. And we sat down. I lived at the time between 50th, between 9th and 10th Avenue, and we just sat on the steps and was talking for a while. And he was like, it's kind of late, I want to meet your mom. I was like, yeah, not tonight. Like she's not with that and you know it was just cool just sitting out there with him like a regular person,
That
talking,
sounds like some
kissing.
ghetto Romeo and Juliet.
Might have been until then we skated off eventually, but we hung out there for a little while. And we just did really cool, like, to me it was cool. I had a time with him. Every time was special. Every moment I appreciated, you know, set that time. Look.
I love that. No, I'm just sitting here like, yo, I've never experienced nothing like that. I mean, I've experienced guys
Mm-hmm.
who,
But what's going on?
make you feel good every time you're with them, but obviously I've never experienced a Tupac because there's only one. So, I you just have to know that like as a fan, I'm jealous. Just a
Oh, don't be
little bit.
jealous.
Just a little bit. Okay, so Puffy parties. You
Mm-hmm.
were at Puffy's birthday party in 1994 with Pac, right?
I no, we met
Okay.
up there.
Oh, okay. You met him at the party.
Mm-hmm. I did.
Okay, take me through that entire night. Like, who was there? Who, where did you see anything weird? Was it just a good time? I mean,
So at this time, at this time, it wasn't the freak off time. This was the just getting started time. I'm sure it was weird shit going on behind the scenes because them rumors been going for years. But no, it was at Roseland Ballroom, and that night I remember what I was wearing. I had on this really pretty dress. It was like a spaghetti strap, long tulle gown to my feet that just like accentuated the curves. It was black, and yeah, I went there. He told me he was gonna wind up going, so like if I was gonna go, we'd probably link up or whatever. So I was like, all right, I was going anyways before I knew he was going. But it was dope. It was everybody who you could think of at that time who was famous, but not as elaborate as his party started to get. With like
okay.
really A-list. But this was hip hop. This was R&B. This was the culture at the time. They were all there. Everybody was dressed nice. some people in suits, tuxedos, sweaters, just the vibes was, it was a dress up fancy party. The music was amazing. They had the stage, and that's where most of the, you know, um, industry people were at. And then, on the bottom, it was a mix of everybody. And yet, and still, it still wasn't like VIP. You could go up and down and move around however you wanted to. And that party was dope. Eventually, I ended up bumping into him, and we spoke. We hung out for a little while, and then he asked me what I was doing, if I wanted to, like, leave with him or at the end of the night or meet up with him, and I was like, of course. So that was still like in the beginning stages too, as well. So you
Okay.
know,
Now, who, if you could name like some celebrities that you remember being at the party, who was all at the party that night?
all a bad boy. Mary J. Blige was there. I don't know. I think Heavy D was there. I can't remember too many more people because it's like these were people that I saw all the time at parties. So it's not like, wow. That was the environment too of the 90s. Like, you're not so impressed with these celebrities because they're so easily accessible. They're everywhere. They're at the mall, they're at the basketball courts in certain tournaments, they're at clubs. So, you see them everywhere, you know?
Okay. Okay, so with all of the recent headlines about Puffy and all of the allegations of the drugging and the abuse and all
Hmm.
the drugs that he's allegedly on,
Hmm.
are you surprised by any of the headlines?
Absolutely not. Nope.
Oh, why Desiree? Why?
Because I know a lot of people that know him. I met one of his old security guards, and I've been knew the tea about him. Weird shit, liking strap-ons. I met this girl one time that did a photo shoot for him. It's a nice young lady from Canada, and me and her ended up going on vacation together. And a few months later, and she told me something that she saw go down at his house in the Hamptons. And then a few months later, she told me that she went hanging out with like his bodyguard and his entourage, and somebody drugged her, and she doesn't know what happened. So none of this is alarming. And then she went back to Canada.
And
So,
how long ago was this? Was this in the
oh,
90s?
no, this was in the 2000s, maybe, mm, yeah, maybe like around 2004, 2006, somewhere around there. He's been doing
Yeah, the earliest allegations that I could find date back to like what, 91, 92, where he supposedly drugged a girl and she doesn't remember what happened.
That's a similar
That's
story to what I heard from somebody that I know is not, I know she's not lying because she had no reason to lie. First, she told me she saw somebody doing something to him, and she walked in and she thought, he didn't, he never said nothing. He didn't even acknowledge her. So she's thinking she's under the radar. Next thing, she's hanging out in Miami, and, she comes back and says she don't know what happened and she woke up. And so, you know,
what did she say she saw?
someone giving him head. That's as far as I'll go. And then you could do the math.
Were they famous? Did she say they were
Oh
famous?
no, they wasn't famous. They was an assistant working with
Oh, okay.
her. Yeah. So
An assistant. I want to guess, but I'm not.
she didn't tell
I'm
me
not
who
even.
that. No, it's not somebody that you would know. It was somebody that, like, she came there. She worked doing photography and like some type of media work where they shot ads and things like that. They were there to work, and she walked in the wrong bathroom and caught the wrong thing.
Oh wow.
So, if she
Wow.
got drugged, it probably was some videotapes made to tell her to shut the hell up and don't repeat what she saw. I would assume. But I don't know because I wasn't there.
And how do you feel about the case being reopened or the idea of Puffy having paid the Southside Crips to get Tupac and Suge killed on the night of September 7th, 1996? Do you believe the rumors? Do you think that he's capable of something like that?
Yeah, I think cowards are capable of paying people to do things they would like to do, of course.
Hmm. Okay,
I hope it ain't true, but if it is, karma's a bitch and everybody has their day.
for sure. All right, Desiree, I want to switch gears a little bit
Hmm.
and talk about something a little bit more serious, something that bothers me as a Tupac fan, because I believe that this is ultimately what changed the trajectory of his life.
Hmm.
So on November 19th, 1993, Pac gets arrested for his infamous sex abuse case with Ayanna Jackson,
Hmm.
which, like I said, ultimately changed the trajectory of his life.
Absolutely.
Take take me through that night from your perspective. Did he call you when he got out of prison, or did you just hear about it on the news?
I heard about it when he got locked up, and I spoke to him mm, maybe a week, 2 weeks later. And, this is around the time where we're like, I only knew him. You said 93 is when this happened, right?
Yeah.
91, 93. Yeah, like that was like the beginning stages of us dating. But we had a really cool friendship and bond that in some aspect he trusted me enough to talk to me about it. And he just, first of all, he wasn't, the anger wasn't the problem. He was hurt. He was hurt that people would view him as a racist. He was hurt that a black woman of all people was putting this allegation on him of something he did not do. He told me how he met her, what transpired. He told me that, he invited her back over, but he wasn't really digging her like that. So, he was like, she can give him some head or whatever. And, he just told me, like, yo, he f***ed up. He should not have left her in that room. But other than that, he didn't do nothing to her. He wouldn't do nothing to nobody. And as I spent time with him and got to know him, I knew he was not capable of something like that. Because it's not about how many women you could have, it's about how you view women.
Yeah,
A lot of
definitely.
men rape and do things to women and they're fine. And you be like, well, I'm
Yeah.
sure he don't have a problem. It wasn't that type of thing. Pac loved women like a person would love art or loves music, you know? And it wasn't, I want to abuse women. It was, I love them. Like, I want to see what turns them on and how they work and what's the inner makings of this person. So, that was a hard slap in the face to him to have that said.
I'm so happy that you said that, because oftentimes I would hear women say like, "Oh, well, why would such and such rape this person? He doesn't have to do it." Well, nobody has to rape.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter how attractive you are, but you made it clear that it's not about what a man looks like; it's about what he thinks
Yes.
about
How
women.
he feels about women. And Pac loved women. A man has to hate or have a resentment for women in order to hurt them in that capacity. And that was not his character at all.
Um, so the night that the police busted in his hotel room,
Uh-huh.
it was rumored that they had found a sex tape of you and Tupac.
Yeah.
Do you care to elaborate on the sex tape?
Elaborate what? They did find a sex tape. His lawyer ended up contacting me and telling me about it. Um, and telling me, just to be on the lookout, just in case the press shows up at my house, which upon hearing that, I got my ass right up out of there and went with some family members out of town because, yeah, that would have, I don't know, that would have ruined my life probably at the time, even though now it's made some people pretty famous. But, you know, um, And he told
The
me,
Kardashians.
I know, right? But yeah, that tape will never see the light of day. It don't matter anyways. So, but they did find the tape. And, I always, like, after everything was said and done, my only question is like, this tape was made maybe 3 to 6 months before they busted you in that hotel. Why was this damn tape with you? This man was walking around with this tape everywhere he went.
Oh, girl, he loved you. He couldn't get enough.
Yeah.
Even when you were gone, it's
I was like,
like
what are you doing? Like, so yeah, they found that tape, and one day I woke up and I had come back to the city for the holidays, and I don't know if it was Thanksgiving or if it was Christmas, but literally I'm walking in the train station and I see that the police found a sex tape with someone they believe to be a minor and they believe to be under the influence of alcohol and drugs, and they are trying to find her. So
you see how they try to railroad a black man in America, especially when you're a rapper. When you, especially back then during that time when it wasn't cool for
exactly.
politicians to endorse rappers. It was,
Yep.
they were public enemy number one.
So I saw that and I was like, wow. Like, and my mentality was, as I told his lawyer also, I don't want to speak to the cops because I don't really trust them. I feel like they'll try to find some way to use this against him and put him into more problems. So,
Yeah.
I met with his lawyer at the time. We had a conversation and I told him I'm going to just, go disappear for a little while. I don't want this type of attention. It's, I would have been so embarrassed. Not now, but then. But yes.
So did the cops ever approach you about the tape, or did you pretty much get
Never,
out of there?
never, thank God. So in the precinct, I lived literally 5 blocks away from the precinct that arrested him, the precinct where the tape was. Yeah, I lived right by Midtown North. So,
And you said that the tape will never see the light of day. How
mm-mm.
how do you know that for sure?
Well, one, the evidence should be destroyed, but um, I think I can't say that. I can say it to you off the record, but I can't say
Okay,
it.
okay,
It's not a good look.
okay.
Okay.
All right, I respect that. Um, okay, so how did you feel personally at the time when you're reading all these headlines and you're seeing all these media personalities talk about Tupac on TV, and just talk about this story of him being a racist or an alleged racist? How did it make you feel as a woman in his life and somebody that knew him personally?
I was angry. I was angry. I was angry,
You
and
wanted to beat her ass?
I still want to beat her. No, I'm dead serious. Now, but I was angry because subconsciously I knew that this was going to change him. And especially when he was locked up, it was so hurtful to see him sitting in that place knowing that he did not do that. Like, really knowing it in my heart of hearts that he did not do that. Not, I love you, I like you. No, I respect you and I understand you as a human. And, that was just up. Of all the things you could be in jail for and you didn't do it. And that's an ugly thing to have over you. And it hurt him. People think that Pac was an angry, hateful individual. No, that was born through hurt. You know, he wasn't like that. He was made to be like that. So
Now, I have my own theory. Now, my fan theory is that, she was down for the train. She was down to get partied. And then, when she came out of the room trying to, kiss on Tupac and all that other type of he didn't want her because she just had so many willies in her mouth.
she wasn't.
So that's just,
He wasn't in the room no
that's what I
more
think.
when she came out.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to ask you what exactly did he tell you happened that
He
night?
told me she came through. He wasn't really interested in fucking with her. Like she gave him head, whatever, and like they all came out in the living room, was chilling because it was a 1 bedroom suite that they had, and that he stepped out the room and he just left. Like he went to do something else. I don't know what, but and I don't recall, exactly. But he said he left her there. Like she was chilling, she was comfortable, she knew them niggas, and he left her. He wasn't trying to chill with her. He wasn't trying to vibe with her. He actually said he wasn't even like he wasn't gonna call her ever again. So maybe she felt like she was down and he rejected her maybe, and you know, or it could be another theory too. Could be that the people she was with, I don't know. I don't know because it's kind of weird. It's like you said these people did things to you, and then at the end of the day, they all get off with it, and he's the only one that gets locked up. So I don't even know if
And then
she
he
was
gets
just
convicted of sex abuse, which was like smacking her ass
yeah,
after she sucked his willy on the dance floor. That's what's crazy to me.
and goes to jail.
Yeah, they really. I think they wanted him for getting off for shooting those 2 cops. But of
Absolutely.
course, that's all speculative. There's no way to prove that.
Yeah, as well as having politicians against you, so they get you locked up. They're all in cahoots. It's nothing for somebody to put a call in and say, give him the max you can give him or whatever. But it didn't seem right. Seemed like some bullshit.
1.5 to 4.5 years in prison for
Smacking
smacking
an ass.
somebody's ass is insane. And it wouldn't have ever happened if he was a white rock star.
Absolutely not. He wouldn't even been in court, except unless it was nowadays, because now it's like you can't even say, "You look nice, ma'am." But
Right.
not to take away from the people who really, have gone through some things. But the temperature's really crazy right now.
Yeah, it's like the pendulum can never just be in the middle. It always have to shift from one extreme to the
I agree
next.
with you. Totally.
Okay, so my next question is Pac stated in his now infamous unofficial press conference outside the courtroom that he was guilty of being a male chauvinist pig, but he wasn't guilty of rape. What
Hmm.
do you think he meant by that?
Maybe the way he sexualized women in his songs. But other than that, I couldn't see. Um, he didn't come off like a sexist thing to me. But I guess that's what he means probably is like in the music, how he portrays women. But that can't be all because there's other songs that portray them differently. So yeah, he's probably saying like, yeah, I might have sexualized women. I might be a whore, but that doesn't mean I'm a racist.
Yeah, you know which interview I'm talking about, right?
The
Where
one
he said I'm
outside,
guilty of a lot of things, and where all the news reporters was in his
yeah,
face.
outside the
Yeah, that's the
courtroom you're
one.
talking about. Well, yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yes, I
And then I
do.
also feel like not for nothing, that's not the actions of a guilty man. Cause he was giving up a lot. He was saying a lot for him to be on trial and
Yeah.
his lawyer to not be around and it not be an official press conference. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Normally, yeah, a guilty person would shut up and just keep their head
They
down low.
hide.
Hurt, yep. But he wasn't, so that just I will never understand how that came about. Like she would have to really tell me, and I think she's a liar. So that's just wild.
Yeah, I wouldn't really have too much rat for Ayanna Jackson. I might punch her in her face. Um, but because I'm a stan, so it's like I don't. But that's just me. So all right. I've always felt like this man's life was entertaining from beginning to end. I mean, literally like a movie.
Hmm.
So by the end of 1993, he had just shot two off-duty police
Mm.
officers, two white off-duty police officers in Atlanta on October 31st, 1993. And
Hmm.
then about a month later, he gets accused of rape. And then he spends the entire year defending his reputation, only to get shot the end of November, November 30th, 1994, at Quad Studios. So, right before he got shot at Quad, I understand that you two fell out. Tell me
Yes.
why.
Well, so like we had this thing. He knew I used to go to this one club, the Tunnel, every Sunday, like clockwork. I'd be there. So when he would pop into town, he'd always like, surprise me, or sometimes he'll call me, but sometimes he would just pop up on me. And this was one of them times where he did the pop up and he didn't tell me he was coming. And damn, I had the cutest outfit on. I had my hair kind of like yours, and I had like this little Chinese short set in ivory with these taupe suede strappy sandals with a heel. And I was coming out the club and I seen my homeboy owned a bike shop in Queens. So I had, like me and my girls, like a neighborhood friend though, not like a guy I was dating. He had a bike shop and me and my girls used to go over there. Like we'd ride on bikes with them sometimes, as and I bumped into two of his employees and they were on bikes outside. So one of them was like, "You want to go for a ride real quick?" And I'm like, "Yeah, f it. I'm drunk, the wind in my hair. I'm feeling good." And when I come back from that quick ass bike ride, as fate would have it, he pulls the bike up. I get off and Pac is standing right there with his boys. And he actually was telling his boys, like, "Yo, this girl that I be dating or whatever, like she's, I'm gonna introduce you to her." And I pop off this bike. And he just looked at me like, really? And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, we had an understanding when we first started talking to each other. And the understanding was when we together, we together. And when we not together, we not together. And I knew like he was exercising that. But at least to me, I prefer the honesty. Tell me what it is and let me be a part of it if I want to. And I definitely wanted to be a part of it. So I was like, all right. But, it just threw me off because him getting upset at me. And then at the time, I'm young. I don't know how to communicate and express myself or even defend myself. I caught an attitude in 2.2 seconds. So I'm like, and what? Like
You cussed his ass out, didn't
when
you?
we got
I
into
would
it
have cussed his
verbally, we
ass so
did.
crazy.
And yeah, I cussed his ass out and walked to the corner and sat my ass on the curb and cried. So my girlfriend had to get me up off the curb and into a cab because I was devastated. Like I couldn't even believe, like, why didn't I just say, like, it's nothing. Like this is, these people work for my somebody I grew up with from childhood. Like, it was just nothing. But I stood on my 10 toes and I said what I had to say. And yeah, then all that stuff happened. And when he got shot, I woke
Wait, do
up.
you remember some of the things you said to him, like when in the heat of the moment?
Nah, but I know my attitude how it is though. Like, so and what? Like I what? Like,
What was he saying to you?
oh, yeah, well, I remember that. That's the funny part. I don't remember what I said. But I know he just was
Spill
like, yo,
it.
he was like, I came here with my boys from, like, I don't know if they was from Cali or Atlanta or wherever the they was his friends. And he came there and he was like bragging about me. And he's like, and then you hopping off niggas' bikes and I'm like, and I was just like, what? Like, and I don't remember what else I said, but I said some shit. And we went our separate ways that night and we ain't speak. And then he got shot. And
Mm,
I woke up and I saw that and I jumped up, got up, ran, got a cab, got to the hospital, and he had just left.
mm.
Yeah, because that,
And
how that is. Something bad happens to somebody, you on bad terms, that's not where I want to leave things at, you know.
yeah.
And
Now, was Pac always a jealous type? Because it's based on the story that you just told me about him getting mad, you hopping off of a motorcycle. It sounded like he was jealous. I know you said you had your own agreement, but that's usually one sided. That's right. Like men can do what they want, but that don't mean that they want you doing what you want. And I'm sure you know that
you know,
now, at least.
yeah, of course. I don't know if it was jealousy. I mean, I feel somewhat it had to be somewhat, but I wouldn't say like he was like jealous like that. I think like honestly, he was literally like, yo, looking for me, and he probably was telling them about me, and then boom, here I go jumping off a bike in front of you, jumping off a nigga's bike, and he's dead standing right there. I didn't even see him. So I mean, I would have felt the way too. If he would have been as
Yeah.
if he would have been if I would have went somewhere that he's at and I seen him with a female, I know I would have felt the way. Cause when he told me he Faith, I threw up so bad that I had to go to the hospital. It looked
Oh,
like somebody choked
oh, we
me.
gonna get to that.
Look.
We definitely gonna get to that. Now, and when I say jealous, I don't mean like jealous in a sense that, oh, like this nigga better than me, the guy whose bike she's hopping off of
Yeah,
is
it's
better
like
than me. I mean jealous in the
why are
sense
you
that
even
he's
there?
possessive.
Well,
Yeah,
maybe.
like he see you as his, and therefore you shouldn't be on nobody bike.
Yeah. we've he might have had a little possessiveness about him with some of his women. And I was definitely one.
Now, was there ever a time where he did get jealous, or like it was clear that like he was jealous of you like interacting with another man, and it doesn't have to be in a sexual way, but I'm just curious.
um, One day he had a cookout in his backyard, and I remember Yaki was or what, I can't remember. Yaki, what was his name in the Outlaws? See, this is the problem.
Gaddafi.
Gaddafi. So most of y'all would know him by Gaddafi, but I know him by Yaki. And um, I was at his house in Atlanta, and I was spending some time with the boys and stuff. And like he told me, like show them how to like groom themselves a little better, because they're gonna start doing videos and things like that. So he wanted them to appeal to women. So he's like give them a little pointers and whatever. So one hanging out with them, doing that type of stuff. Um, and the day of the barbecue, Yak wanted his hair taken out. He had cornrows. So he asked me to take his hair out. So like I'm sitting on, he had like a bench, a pad, like a bench in the backyard. So I'm sitting on the bench, Jacques on the floor, and I'm taking them cornrows out. And Pot comes out and just yanks his head, and it's like that was the end of that though. After that, I didn't take out no more of his braids, because he's like, yo, what the fuck? It's like, what are y'all doing? Like, what is this? No, like, and I was just like,
So he yanked him up like
no,
did
no, no,
he
no, no, no,
did he
no, no,
grab his
no. No,
hand?
he didn't do, like, he playfully just like yanked his hair, like, because I'm over here doing that. So he pulled his hair, and like, then my hands came out his hair. And he's like, yo, what the fuck? Like, and then,
Oh, like it was on some like, oh, we ain't doing none of that.
right. And,
Okay.
he was just like, I think he might have a little crush on you. So, like, keep it cool. Like, chill. Like, but other than that, no.
That is
It
hilarious.
was.
That's so funny. That is so funny. I wanted to read something to you that's like kind of slight way related to like this theme of jealousy.
Uh-oh.
Now, it's a letter that Tupac wrote Angela Artis,
Uh-huh.
who wrote the book Inside a Thug's Heart. Have you ever read the book?
I have not. This is my first time
It's a
hearing
great
it.
book.
Okay. Well, you know what? I love to read, so I put it on my list.
I highly recommend it. I definitely highly recommend it. Shout out to Angela Artis.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to read the first part. Now, in one of the letters that she wrote Tupac, she asked him if he was marrying Jada Pinkett, because I guess there were rumors or like
Right.
stories circulating in the media that they were getting married. So
Mm-hmm.
he's answering her question back in a letter.
Okay.
He says, Angela, no, I am not marrying Jada. It was never an issue. Yes, she did ask me, but it was more out of pity than real love. Don't get me wrong, I do love Jada, but only as a friend.
Mm-hmm.
We've been through a lot together. No, I have never had physical relations with her, just friendship in its purest form. Please know that I'm trying my hardest to be honest with you, even if it's not what you want to hear.
Right.
Now, my first question is, did Tupac ever talk to you about Jada Pinkett or his relationship with Jada Pinkett?
Yes, he did. He did.
Okay. What do you say about her?
Um, that she was somebody that he holds in high regards. And he told me he never had sex with her, that they never dated, like it wasn't that type of relationship. Um, I actually told him I thought she was cute. And he was like, well, shit, maybe we could set something up one day. I was like, all right, whatever. But, yeah, I'm telling you, like, yeah, he had a whole little scenario, but I was like, all right. And, he just told me, like, that she was somebody that really was down for him and had his back and that he loved her, but in a platonic way. And, he told me things.
But how could it be platonic if he had fantasies of setting up a threesome or
He didn't
you know
have
what
the
I'm saying?
fantasy. I'm the one that said she was cute. So,
Oh, wait. Okay. Okay.
yeah, so.
You crazy, Desiree. All right. So Jada has Jada has claimed in multiple interviews that Pac was the one that proposed to her. Considering that Tupac couldn't have anticipated the letters would ever be released to the public, do you believe that Jada proposed to him or he proposed to her?
Well, that's a good one because that is something that he did not tell me. Um, Not that he didn't tell me like that there was a time that they would have gotten married, based because he thought he was going to get conjugal visits, but he just didn't tell me the nature of how that came to be. But if he said he didn't and he wrote that in that letter, I'm gonna have to go with him because I've never had him. I've never caught him in a lie. He's been very real with me, and everything he's told me, I ain't never find it to be a lie. So I believe him.
Okay. And what are your thoughts on Jada Pinkett today? Like with her name just constantly being in controversy with her husband Will. Do you still think she's cute?
I think she's cute and she is, listen, we all have our little problem sides and whatever we doing. I don't know that lady and I don't know what's going on in her life, but she's very talented and I think we're outside looking in. We don't know the nature of their relationship and what they got going on. Only what we find out the little bits, like tidbits, but it's more than meets the eye most times. And I believe that right there. She ain't the devil.
Do
They
you
in
think
that
she
together. Look.
No, I agree with that. I definitely agree. I think she gets a bad rep
Yeah,
and
because she's the one being
usually the
outed.
conversation usually the conversation is always framed like, oh, Jada is embarrassing Will, or Jada, she's using Will. And it's just like, he's a grown ass man in the relationship too. So
Right. And
it's
they've been
like,
together for 20
he's Will
years.
Smith. Yeah. And, this is not some chump or like some
Right.
nothing ass nigga. This is Will Smith.
You ain't gonna slap
But
somebody
do you
over
think
your
she was
woman
in
if
love
you.
with Tupac?
I think she was in love with him, but maybe not in a sexual way, honestly. Because I think if she wanted him, I'm pretty sure she could have had him. I'm sure he would have did it. And I think that their relationship is a little bit above that. But yeah, I mean, to know him is to love him. If you would have met him one time, you would have loved him too. So imagine just having this friendship and bond and being a schoolmate and being a best friend. And you know what I'm saying? Like, she definitely loved him, loves him. Not love, but loves him. Because I can relate.
I think that it's funny because anytime I talk to other women about Tupac and Jada's relationship, and we're all
Hmm.
talking and giving our take on it, it's starkly different than when I talk to a man about it. It's like the men, the boys, they can't grasp the concept of two people who are of opposite sex not being in love with each other or having love for each other without the sex. And
Exactly.
I don't know if it's just because we're women and they're men, but I just always
Mm,
thought that was
I
interesting.
think it's because men become women's friends on the wait and see game. But if you curve them long enough, they'll either go away or they will become your friend. So
Yeah,
he
but
probably met
they could
her.
definitely weigh you down with persistence.
Yes. Well, so they think. But I think with Pac and Jada, maybe he did like her at first. And maybe she just friend zoned him. And, and as they got to be friends and spend time together, they got a spiritual bond and a love for each other.
Yeah. All right, so Desiree, I'm gonna continue the letter, and I want your honest reaction in the moment.
Okay,
Okay.
you got it.
The letter continues. Please know that I'm trying my hardest to be honest with you, even when it's not what you want to hear. In my first letter, I told you about the person in my life, didn't I? Well, here's more information on her. Her name is Keisha.
Hmm.
We've been real with each other and seeing each other for 9 months on the 19th of March. I've cheated on her, got shot up, basically drug her through hell, but she stayed in my corner and I'm very loyal. So she's the special person in my life. I now have a good relationship with her. We have no secrets. She knows of you, but not your name. I just told her that I had an intense pen pal in Georgia and one day we'd meet. She's not my girlfriend, but I am her king and I consider her to be my queen. I've written her poetry, but I have not written any of the poems made for you for her. That's my word. It's not in me to be dishonest and shady. I don't tell her the same things I tell you and vice versa.
Okay.
She knows that I like you and I'm attracted to you, and she's jealous. But she also knows that she's my queen and jealousy is not becoming of a queen. She's real cool. I say all this to say, if by chance I was ever to be married real fast, it would be to her, not Jada. Now, with all that being said, what are your thoughts on what you just heard in the letter? And did he ever talk to you about his relationship with Keisha Morris?
Mm-mm. I never knew about Keisha until he got married. Um,
No.
when I did not. So obviously there's some time overlapping there between me and him. I feel like when I got off that bike in the summer, yeah, it might have been like April, May time that I don't know if that's when they met or they was rocking, whatever was going on. And then once he got shot and once he got arrested, I went upstate and I was up there for like 4 or 5 months. So I guess they was doing their thing and bonding. And how do I feel? Sometimes like when I was younger, I felt kind of like betrayed in a way a little bit because I knew that I was fucking with him for a while and we had a bond as well. And then those things happened and I disappeared because of that court case. So I kind of felt like, damn, like I disappeared because of this court case and you go boo loving on somebody like to that extent. And, after he got shot, I didn't get a chance to see him and he married her. He got locked up the next day. He married her and, I was heartbroken. And I was heartbroken, not just I was heartbroken because he was arrested and he was in Rikers. Then, I was like, oh, well, I guess he found somebody, so I'm going to leave that alone. And that was my intent to respect their marriage and leave him alone. Because, we had our falling out. We never got to rectify the situation. And so be it. But then fast forward, and I'm in some nightclub. I don't remember exactly where. And I bump into Stretch. He tells me, "Oh, Pac's been asking about you. I know you should give me your phone number so I can give it to him. You probably could like whatever." So I was like, "Okay." And I'm in my head, I'm like, "Isn't he married? Like, he's asking about me for anyway." It's like, "All right, cool, whatever." And
He greedy, girl. That's
he was a connoisseur of women. He's not greedy. Look, he was
Okay, okay,
enjoying
take up
the
for your man.
flavors.
My bad.
Yes.
My bad. I'm gonna get it right, Desiree. I'll take up for your man. You got it.
So yeah, so that like that's how me and him reconnected afterwards because I bumped into Stretch, similar to how I bumped into Big, and he was like, I'm Pac, he's been asking if I seen you and so I gave him my number. He called me. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna come by, drop you his address, you know, cool. Then he shows up at my crib in Brooklyn at my grandmother's house, and then I ended up finding his movements a little funny. And as I'm hearing
Stretch.
rumors, I'm hearing rumors through the grapevine that Big and Pac have a fallout. They not cool, but here's Stretch with all these people from Junior Mafia pulling up to my crib. And I'm just like confused. And then, I've said it. I don't, need to redundantly say like, he tried to holler. So I was like, yeah, this shit is not feeling
Oh no,
right.
we gotta get into that. We
Okay.
have to get into that, Desiree,
We
because
definitely
it's
can.
some people that didn't hear your first interviews.
Oh, okay.
Take me through like when he tried to holler at you. I know you said that you didn't really like some of the moves that he was making prior to him showing up to your house with the people in Junior Mafia, but what else had he done up until that point that you just wasn't fucking with?
No, no, no. I had been hearing that Big and Pac wasn't cool. Puffy, like he
Mm-hmm.
thought they had something to do with setting him up. I'm just hearing like, rumors and grapevine business. So when I saw Stretch, I'm thinking him and Stretch and Pac is like they're like this still. So I'm like, all right, cool. Here's my number. I'm in Brooklyn. I'm like, call me. When you speak to him, whatever, you get his information, you're going to drop it off to me. Cool. So when he does come to my house, he pulls up. He got the whole entourage. He got Junior Mafia people, some other niggas. And I'm just like, well, if you come, whatever, you coming to drop something off. I ain't worried. I just come outside to get it. When I come out there and I'm like, yeah, what's up with his thing? That nigga said, nah, what's up with me and you?
As if Stretch could ever take you from a nigga that look like Tupac. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. God bless the dead and all of that.
Oh yeah, rest in
Yes,
peace.
yes,
But
yes. But girl,
yes.
girl.
So when he said that, I was like, what? Now I'm like, like brushing them off, like, all right, whatever, whatever, like, yeah. So he never gave me Pac's.
I would have been like, bye, ugly.
I don't think he even gave me Pac's information. And then I'm looking at the people he's with, and I'm just like, all right, cool. So maybe, a week, 2 weeks later, I don't know how I got his information, if it was off of MTV or something like that. Like they wrote his address to the jail. And I wrote him a letter, and this letter wasn't, you know, geared to like, babe, I love you, I miss you. It was, hey, how are you? I finally got your address, and in that letter I put to him that Stretch had came and that he came to my house. He told me this stuff, and he's like, I didn't, when I finally did see him, he's like, I didn't send him there, like, nah. And I told him, I didn't know what was going on, but he kind of tried to like holler at me. He was with these dudes, and I'm hearing that you had a fallout with so and so, and you know, and I'm like, I heard you're married. Congratulations. I'm just reaching out as a friend. And then that's when I got the first letter from him. And he was on his own, like, yeah, friendship, whatever. And he also told me like, yeah, he don't know who to trust right now. Like everybody's moving funny, he ain't really fucking with Stretch like that, and just to watch out in the world because people are moving like snakes, and that was the beginning, and also that he still wanted to rekindle whatever we had before, and yeah. And I think the second letter was when he wrote to me and told me that he told Keisha about us, and that, which is like annoying me because you just read that letter and I'm like, damn, it's 20, let it go. All right.
Girl.
Still
No,
jealous. Look.
I feel like you have the right. I mean, that was your man, girl. Like that
Well,
was. I mean, he was dealing with other women, but
I had a
you
part of
can be
him.
mad.
Yeah, of course.
Listen. I'm not one of those fans that feel like you don't have the right to be mad or be jealous
Of
because this nigga
course.
just up and left you and got married after you was the one that was down for him.
I guess she
And
was
like, you
too.
know, you really had to uproot your life and leave so
Mhm.
that you wouldn't be harassed because you
Right.
got caught up in his court
And
case
that,
shit.
yeah. But yeah. So
It's okay to rage.
it was the same
They gonna
thing.
call us angry black women anyway.
That's a fact. So yeah. So he told me that he was gonna send for me, and she would handle all my arrangements, which I was put like, what? Okay, cool.
Keisha was busy, child.
Shit.
She was busy.
Obviously. And I feel for her. In that
Yeah.
time, at that age, I ain't have the heart to care about nobody but myself. But in this age, in this time, that had to be a lot for her. That had to be a
Because
lot.
everybody was young.
She was
Everybody was
young,
young. And that's
she was in love, and I know how she felt. I would have did anything for him as well. I'm just happy that she got to play that role. Cause I don't think I would have. I don't know. I don't know how.
you had too much mouth.
I'm not a good listener. We'll just say that.
Listen, Desiree, I would have been in your position
I
too.
talk
Like I
back.
have too
Look,
much mouth for
yep.
that kind of yeah, like
I'd have been like,
way too much
yeah, I'm gonna
mouth.
bring her up here. But I'm gonna tell you, I think Keisha got to her limit one day because, when he told I think the visit he told her that he wanted a divorce. She came back the next visit, and I was in the bathroom, and all of the outlaws was there that day, except for Fatal and Noble. And I was in the bathroom. I didn't never get to see her, but she came in the visit before I came, and that's when I was staying upstate with him, like staying up there to see him all the time. And she was looking for me. I heard so.
Looking for you how like she really wanted to meet or like she wanted to fight.
Well, I'm gonna say that Gaddafi said, and Muta, I think I remember, they was trying to make fun like she was gonna beat my ass. It's like, oh yeah. But if
Wait,
I
so
was in her
so
shoes,
Gaddafi
I would have did the same. I'm not mad at her. Like I would have been waiting for you at the bus stop when you get off. You're not even going to the visit, sister. Like,
okay.
but
Listen, that's crazy because you want to know the funny thing? This book that I just read you, the snippet from the letter, Angela,
yeah. Who's this
Tupac
Angela? I
had
ain't know about
planned
her.
for she
Oh,
was
she
she
was
was literally a fan. She was a fan that reached out to
oh,
Tupac and
okay.
she sent them some pictures. She sprayed the envelope with some Perry Ellis perfume, and
Okay.
you know she wrote him a decent letter.
I hear
And her
that.
letter wasn't thirsty or nothing, but he
Right.
ended up writing her back and just becoming completely
Friends.
like captivated by her.
Mm.
Not just like I want to get to know you, but like I'm talking about he was pressed, Desiree. Like he was very, very. You have to read this
I
book
need to, yeah, I might
because
have to read that. I need to see them dates.
you
Cause
have to read it because I'm telling you,
where's
your
the
man,
date?
he was in these letters like before Angela's second letter got back to him in the prison,
Mm-hmm.
he had wrote her like three more letters. Like, you know, I'm just writing you again. Just, you know, I'm hoping that, you know, I'm just being impatient and you've written me back. And, you know, I'm telling you, you have to read it.
Okay.
But anyway, I said all that to say that there was a point in the book where he wanted Angela and Keisha to meet. So they had planned to he had set it up where they would come up there on the same day, and at the very last minute Keisha Morris bailed. So when you say she had reached her limit, that's true because it wasn't just with you, it was with Angela as well.
Her and some other girl named Simi too, because that I knew about. Look, Lord, this
Oh,
man
who
was
was
doing.
Simi?
Oh, she was.
Was she a girlfriend or
No, she was just somebody that wrote to him as well with pictures. She was an attractive young girl. Probably.
God, this man was busy. Like and he
And
said he got
and it's
around.
crazy because he told me like when he got out, like he would like to meet her or whatever, and I'm just sitting there like, okay. And it's just like, what you gonna do? No, you can't. You're not my child. But yeah, he wanted his cake and have it, eat it all too. So
Yes. So did you ever vocalize to him like, Pac, I don't want to meet none of them bitches. I
he
don't
never
want to
asked.
know none of them.
I don't know if you read his letters to me, but I know he told in one of them he told me to be nice. I don't think he would want me to meet none of his bitches or his
Oh, because you would
wife.
have tried to fight.
I don't know what I would have did. I just know
Oh my
he
God,
don't know
Desiree,
what
you
I
would have
would have
tried to
did.
fight.
I don't know.
I feel like you would have tried to fight.
I might have.
You from the Bronx. I
I'm
mean,
not.
you were born in the Bronx, raised in Brooklyn.
In Manhattan.
All the Brooklyn girls I know, they rough and they loyal. And y'all just be ready. And then y'all act so prim and proper. Y'all all act
He
the
said
same
I
way.
did
All the
prim
ones
and
that I know.
proper.
Yes. Yes, y'all all act so prim and proper, but like y'all be demons for real, for real. I'm telling
Well, he knew
you.
I had a little feisty side, so he was like, "Be nice when she contacts you. She's a nice girl." I'm like, "Okay, whatever." Even when he called me on the phone
So she
too, and he
actually
told
called
me,
you.
"Yeah, she called me. She got me my ticket to go up there. She told me how I had to dress on the dress thing. She told me where I could find. She basically arranged my whole trip twice.
And what were you saying on the phone? Like when she's telling you, like, don't wear this, don't wear that. Were you just like, okay, girl, I'm like,
I was like, okay, because what are you gonna say? Like, girl, are you okay? Blink twice if you need help. I was just like,
I
all
mean,
right.
yeah.
She was very professional, and I just was like, okay, okay, okay. She had no attitude, because I like, and I was just like, this is weird. That's what I thought, and I thought to myself, I would
Damn.
never. You gonna have to have somebody else orchestrate that. Not that I'm saying I
You
would.
better get one of your cousins to do it. I would have
Yeah.
told that you better get one of your
Yo,
cousins
you
or
better get
somebody to do
somebody
it.
to do that. Don't have me doing that. Cause like I just think I know she had to have cried. That's your husband, and he's telling you to arrange for other women to come and see him. And I know how Pac is. He ain't lie. He ain't say he ain't feeling nothing and he ain't trying to reunite something. He's telling you exactly what it is. And you got the choice. You're gonna do it or not. And if you don't do it, whatever happens then, and just like you could go too. So I
But
mean,
everybody was down for the ride. That's the funny part.
you would have been too, sis. So
I know. Oh, that's not no secret. That is not. I would have been with whatever. Okay, I wouldn't have been. I definitely wouldn't have been like linking the. I wouldn't have been meeting up with none of his because I know how I
right,
am.
yeah,
So
like
I knew
that
that wouldn't
that
even.
part,
He
no.
wouldn't even ask me no shit like that if we would have knew each other because like
Exactly my feelings
he
as well. Because I listen, meet who? Why? Like for what? Maybe meet. Oh, then I don't know. Yeah, no.
maybe
Keep
meet who.
keep that over there. Well, if things would have went as planned, and I would have moved to LA, and Keisha would have, they got divorced, then eventually I would have probably had to have some type of interaction with her if they would have stayed married. But
Oh yeah, y'all were supposed to have like some kind of like Eskimo sister kind of thing going on where because I remember you saying in the interview that he was gonna put you in an apartment on
the
Wilshire and
Wilshire
she was gonna
apartment
put
he
her in a
had,
house in
yeah.
Malibu.
No, Calabasas is where he ended up buying the house at.
Calabasas.
And
Okay.
yeah, so the universe intervened in that, and thank God.
Ooh. Okay, so do you think that Pac married Keisha Morris for all the wrong reasons? I mean, convenience, conjugal visits, his
Not
own
to be
selfishness. I
mean,
mean,
because I'm a woman first before anything
mhm.
else, but I do think that. I think she knows that as well. I think he did have care and that he loved her. I'm not going to discredit that in any way. And I know she did do a lot of things for him when he was in jail, So she proved herself as a loyal woman. But he was who he was. And had he not been locked up, he wasn't marrying nobody no time soon. That I will start with. And yeah, he thought, he might be in jail for 4 years and he might have the ability to have conjugal visits, and she was there, and she proved her loyalty to him, and he felt. One thing about Pac is like he had to be able to trust you, because if not, there's nothing he could do with you. So, you know, but yeah. And if I would have been around him or he would have married Jada, the same thing would have happened to each one of us. So, you know, in a way, some people are like, she was lucky, but nobody knows her pain or what she went
Yeah.
through at night, sleeping alone or sleeping while somebody's on a visit with your husband. And, you know, I think about stuff like that more so now.
And as a fan, I think all of y'all were lucky. Like, regardless of like you know, whether you dealt with him in any capacity that you
Absolutely.
dealt with him.
Absolutely. Just having the pleasure of meeting him, even if it's at one time, I was just blessed that I got to, over a period of 3 years, get to spend this time with him, before he departed this earth. And nobody could take that away from me. Nobody was there. Nobody can steal that experience. And nobody will have that experience.
Oh, so I was just gonna say that as a grown ass woman now, just turned 30 in June. I don't see it as a knock against Keisha Morris because she really was young. You know, she was
Mm-hmm.
like 22, 23 years old. And I feel like
Ah,
we've all been young and dumb for somebody. You
always.
know, now what level that was, that's a different story. But then also, I just think that, you know, if if Tupac, if he did in fact play her, which is what some people think, like a lot of people think that he was playing all of y'all, but I just feel like, well, being played by a nigga like that and is not being played by just
It's
any
not.
other nigga. So it's
I,
like,
I
you
don't
know what
think
I
his
mean? Like just
intention was to play her, though. I don't feel like he was a user of people.
he thought he was right. That's what I think. I think he thought that because he was honest that it
Yes.
was okay.
Yes. That that's exactly it. He
And I
kept
think he
things
was
up
too
front.
young at the time. I think he was too young at the time to see it for what it was, which was selfish and arrogant. But that's what you are when you're
That's
young.
exactly
That's what
exactly. My kids are his my son is his age now when he died. And I see it's crazy because Pac's maturity and accomplishments out of this world.
he was ahead of his time. It's
But
crazy.
my 25-year-old son right now can be selfish, can be arrogant. He don't know he thinks he knows everything. We all
But
did
that's
at
the
that
age
age.
though. We've all been there. Like
Hmm.
when I talk to people, I always have to stress the fact that, hey guys, he died at
Remember,
25 years old.
exactly. And he's
Even though he
accomplished
was so
more.
ahead of his
Hmm.
time and he was so mature, he was still
He
immature
was
in a
still
lot
a
of
he was
ways
still a
too.
young man. He was a young man.
Yeah, like he's young, he's famous, he's getting money. You know, the money probably leaving as quickly as it's coming in because of all these court cases and shit like that.
That was
But
crazy.
he has, and he was a sex symbol. So it's not like
Absolutely.
he just had the fame and he just had the intelligence. He had
The
everything all in
total
one.
package. Now you see why we was all falling in line. No, look.
Oh no, I've been saw that. I've been saw
What
that
you want,
because I would have
baby?
been right there with y'all. What you want me to do? You say jump, I'll say how high,
And
Tupac.
okay.
What do you want me to do? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Okay, so I want to like take it back to the quad studio shooting. Um, so you said that by the time you got to the hospital, he had already checked himself out. So what was the rest of the night for you like after you realized that he was no longer in his hospital and you're just now hearing that your boyfriend got shot or
At the
somebody
time,
that you
well,
was
yeah, it
messing with?
was so I
He was still
was
your boyfriend. I don't care. He would have still been my boyfriend even if we didn't talk.
yeah, we was together whether he wanted to or not. Look, but no, I'm playing.
I'm
Either you
telling
with
you.
me or I'm with you, but we together, babes. And
Seriously.
I loved him though. Like I loved him. The love I had for him, whether we was together or not, that love was just still there. So I was scared. I wanted to know he was okay. I didn't know what happened, who did this to him. Like this was, I'm talking about the night he got shot. I woke up at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. By the time I'm like, just going on with my day, and at some point I put the news on and I saw that he was shot, and I was just worried. I wanted him to be okay. I was worried about the court case the next day. I was just worried about everything. And I wanted him to know, like, despite what happened, despite our falling out, I'm still here for you and I still love you. So, yeah.
I love that. I love that you had his back, and I think that that's evident in all of the jailhouse photos because like you look like a ride or die bitch in every photo. Like I think that, and I think that that's what made those photos so legendary because
Mhm.
at least I don't know if you know like how you're viewed within like the Tupac fan community, but
I
we
don't.
all like we all see you as like the girl that was at the prison the most like and even if you weren't, the fact that you have so many more pictures than everybody else, it appears that way.
And now the pictures were only taken on the weekend. So imagine
Oh,
all
so
the
you was there during the
weekdays.
week
I
too.
sure was. We spent a lot of
Mm.
time. I was there with him when the OJ verdict came down. Trying to think of like
Oh, tell me
miles.
about that.
Well, I was mad because I was like, I don't care, violence against women, violence against women. And he was like, that. Fucking black people been getting fucking lynched and committed, doing all this, getting accused of crimes they ain't commit. Let him walk. And I was like, God damn, all righty then. He was damn near almost mad at me for being mad that he got off. He's like, And I was like, yeah, I see your point. I
He
see your
couldn't see it
point.
from your perspective. He couldn't see it from your
I,
perspective
I,
because he's a
he's a
man.
man, and I've seen it from his perspective because I'm a person of color as well. So I'm
Yeah.
like, you know what? They do put black people in jail for crimes they don't commit. They was out here lynching and doing all this stuff for people that didn't do anything but be black. So, but yeah, I just don't like
So
violence
to
against
be
women.
clear, he thought OJ did it, but he just felt like he should have walked just as revenge or to avenge so many
I
cases
think he was mad
of
because he was
injustice.
falsely accused and sitting in prison. So when he saw that, he's like, fine, whether he did it or not. Oh, well, like, it's nice to see a black person get off the same way that the others do.
Mm. Okay, so what was the makeup conversation between you two like once you finally get in contact with him after him having been shot at Quad?
So it was, I'm trying to think if it was a phone call. No, he sent me the letter. I spoke to Keisha on the phone. When I went up to the jail finally in the makeup conversation, he
Oh, so you didn't speak to him
he
after
got
the
arrested.
shooting until he got to jail.
He went to jail the next day after the shooting. They locked him up in the wheelchair with the gunshot wounds and the bandages.
What? I thought it was a while before he
No, you know what? It was you know what? I think that's incorrect. I think it was a couple days though. It wasn't like, and it might have been the next day, but it
because
was,
didn't he go to
he went to,
he allegedly went to Jasmine Guy's
he
house to
did.
heal,
And
right?
he had court within, so it was maybe a few days. Now I gotta look from the time he was shot till then because this is a long time. I don't remember everything in the right sequence all the time,
Yeah.
but
And you was living it.
nah,
You ain't doing research like me.
he did go to Jasmine Guy's house. He did tell me that. And he was only there for a few days though, I think, if I'm correct. And then he went to court. And as he went to court, they remanded him on the spot.
Mm.
So I
And what was that
finally,
process like?
what?
Oh, I was gonna say, and what was that process like for you as somebody who loves him and was supporting him, like throughout his whole time in prison?
I didn't know, his time in prison.
Yeah, like like what was the whole process like for you? Like as somebody watching a person that you love having just been shot and then having to go to jail so
Oh,
soon after.
I was worried, but at the same time, I didn't know where we stood because we hadn't had a conversation um, since that night on the bike. So, wait a minute, rewind, stop. Okay, hold on. I went with him to Atlanta after he got arrested. So after Atlanta is when he saw me on the bike. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Now I see why he was kind of tight. All right. So how I felt about that. Wait, repeat the question one more time. I'm sorry.
I was saying, like, what was that process like for you? Having been the person that watched him go from being shot in Quad Studios 5 times to
Hmm.
now having to go to court the next day with bandages all over his head and then just
The
getting
next few
thrown in
days.
jail.
I was concerned. I was worried. I was sad. I felt helpless because at the time I had no way of contacting him. And, you know, I just didn't know what was going on. I didn't know how he felt about me, if he was still angry with me or, what the situation was. So that
Mm-hmm.
was a little crazy in itself. And, I just worried and hoped that he'd be okay. I heard rumors, they were falsely reporting all types of shit all over. And it was just like, but I just kept the faith and was hoping for the best for him. And when I bumped into Stretch, good or bad, indifferent, whatever happened, it relinked me with him. So, you know.
Okay. Um, so my favorite hip hop album of all time, Me Against the World, drops March 14th, 1995.
Hmm.
Now, at this point, Tupac is in prison. What was Pac's mentality like being locked up while also having the number one album in the country?
So he was excited about the album, but he was really upset about being in jail for something he didn't commit. And, instead of being like a depressed person and just letting the situation get to him, he became proactive and started to make a whole new album. And he started writing all those songs while he was in jail. And he started, trying to plan on how he was going to get out, how he was going to get his money up, what his next steps was, and also plotting somewhat of a little bit of revenge as well. So, it was a lot. He was all over the place with, but for to be all over the place at the same time, he was knocking down everything one by one that he had planned to do. Yeah. I think I won't get into specifics because there's certain things that I just feel like is not meant for everybody to know. But I think that time that he spent in jail, when you sit still, excuse me, when you sit still sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times we move fast to avoid to stop and think. And when we are still, it refreshes memories, it brings back things. So I'm sure he was dealing with a lot of things. Finding out his father was alive.
I was
And
gonna ask you about that too. We're gonna get into that. We
okay.
definitely gonna get into that.
Mm-hmm. And
Um,
okay. So
okay, so continuing on with the Me Against the World album,
mhm.
what are your personal thoughts on the album? Is it your favorite, or are you a All Eyes on Me kind of girl, or a Machiavelli kind of girl?
I love all three. If you ask me, my favorite would probably be All Eyes on Me
Okay.
because I was around him and with him during the time that he was writing those in jail. Most of those songs were completed in jail. And it's two that are on that album that, he dedicated to me or wrote about me.
Oh, girl, let the
Parts
people
in.
know which songs.
Um, I Ain't Mad at You is one of them. I'm mad at you. And
I didn't know that.
I'd Rather Be Your Nigga is the other. And then
Okay.
now, after we reconnected, and then we had another falling out, but thank God this wasn't over no bike riding or nobody. It was just me and him. But I believe the album off Machiavelli as well, just like Daddy, was parts were about me as well.
Oh yeah. So the first time I heard your interview that you did with Art
Mm-hmm.
of Dialogue 5 years ago, and you talked about Stretch trying to talk to you. I
Mm-hmm.
knew from then that confirmed for me that the song was about you because he literally says in the song, "When my fake homies try to fuck you, you run and tell me." That's why I stay committed. I thank God every time I hit it, hoping you'll forgive me for the times I bullshit.
Mm.
So and that it sounds like it sounds like it's your situation. So I always thought that song was about you, and it's funny because that's one of my favorite Tupac songs, and it just seems like it's such a sleeper on the album.
Mm-hmm. It is. I love it too. But yeah, when I heard that, and I think I heard it after he passed away, and I knew it was just like, I know nobody got to tell me. And, at this point, I can't even confirm it because he's not even here. So, but I knew.
Mm. Okay, so what's your favorite? What's like if you had a top five like favorite Tupac songs, what would they be?
Mm, I love Ambitions as a Rider. I love Just Like Daddy. I love I'd Rather Be in. I love it's um see, now you're saying just top five. So,
Yep, five.
and I gave you
We're gonna
three.
narrow it down. Mm-hmm.
So
Ambitious of a
wait,
Rider, Just Like Daddy.
on the Machiavelli album, what is the name of the song? It's like Daddy Tell Me, I Remember What My Papa Told Me. I love that song.
Blasphemy.
And yes, Blasphemy. And then the one he did with his the what is the name of the damn song? Me and My Girlfriend. I love that
Oh
too.
yeah.
I love Temptation. Yeah. So
How did you feel in the early 2000s when Jay-Z and Beyonce remade Me and My Girlfriends? Did you like it? Did you like '03 Bonnie and Clyde?
I did.
And do you feel differently about it today? Okay.
I did. I thought it was good, and it was just bringing back, like, you a fan too, almost. Like, that
Yeah,
that
no,
beat was
really.
fire,
Not
and
almost.
yeah.
You are a fan.
But they did it justice. They didn't. I would hate to have seen somebody else do it and it wasn't good. You know, that's the it still bangs to this day, just like his does.
Yeah, for sure. Now, Desiree, we got to get into the hot and steamy love letter that Tupac sent you, where on the envelope
Oh
it's a
God.
photo. Girl, yes, we're getting into
Oh,
it. There is a picture of you two passionately making love, and it has "missing you deeply" on the cover, like on the front of the front of the envelope. Do you remember your reaction when you first saw the envelope,
hell
like when you first
yeah.
received the letter and
Hell
got it?
yeah. I had got that letter and I pushed it right back inside because I was in front of my aunt, somebody. I was like, and I ran to the bathroom and I opened it and I was looking at that and that shit had me like, I'm missing you. I'm missing you the same way too, baby. Like, just slowly waiting for you to get out of there. And, but yeah, that made me blush. It makes me blush to this day.
Yeah, clearly, right? Look at. I wish you could see your face,
I wish I could imagine. I'm like,
girl.
I'm probably red as hell. Yeah, that was the one. That and Just Like
Now I
Daddy.
don't,
Those two songs, that and that song, I'm like, just
girl,
let everybody know. Look how you really feel.
girl, I love that song, and I'll say, like, as a fan, like somebody who genuinely loves his music, that's probably the only song where I like the Outlaws. I like every other Outlaws verse better than Tupac's, and that's not to say that his verse was
Uh
bad
huh.
or anything like that, but
But they shined up on
I
that.
just I don't know. Yeah, they shine. Like that was the one song where I feel like they shine, except for the hook. I
Hmm.
couldn't believe he wrote the hook. I wrote Edie on Twitter one day asking him like, who wrote the hook to Just Like Daddy? And he said whatever you heard come out of Pac's mouth, he wrote it.
Hmm. Yeah.
So and I because back then rappers weren't singing their own hooks. It
Right.
wasn't like they weren't melodic, and that's another thing he don't get credit for. Like starting this whole wave of like melodic rap where
Exactly.
where he was like one of the first rappers who rapped in a melodic way.
Exactly.
um so I see he still make you blush to this day, and I wanted to know, like, out of all the great things about him, what did you love the most?
I loved the late night conversations after we drank, after we went out, after we had sex, all of that. It was the laying in bed and talking all night till the sun comes up. Him being himself and just his vulnerability that people did not get to see. And that was when he was at his most sexiest. Or I loved him the most at those moments. And
So what was the difference between him being vulnerable with you and um him being vulnerable with his public audience enough to say like, hey, my mother is a crackhead but I love her anyway? What was the difference in vulnerability? Because I feel like it takes a strong person to be that vulnerable for either or.
well, I think Pac was the type where it's like you just you gonna like I'm not holding back nothing. You're gonna see everything, and he could expose reality with his mother, but certain things that were secretly said, in hotel rooms or in apartments or wherever we were, like, that was things that were not for the world. I mean, everybody could know that his mother was in the Black Panthers and she gave birth to him in jail in her story. But what he chose to share with me and our experiences and things we both went through, you know, I don't think the public would know. Maybe some of the other girls might know, but I would hope that it was special in that moment that he shared and bared his soul with me.
Okay. I got some. I definitely have something crazy to ask you, but like, off the record. But okay.
Why don't you try
So
on? No, now, maybe I'd answer. If I can, I can. But
yeah, I think you kind of answered it. I think you
okay,
kind of answered it.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. So you said what you love the most. What did you hate the most about him? Was he stubborn?
He was
Was
very
he short
stubborn.
tempered? What?
He was stubborn. Yeah, he was very stubborn. What I hated the most was that I saw things coming at times. And even though I couldn't articulate it to him, but I saw trouble coming. But I'm trying to think about him personality wise.
So
Nah, you
wait,
know what I
you said
hated?
you would
Uh,
see trouble.
no, no,
Go ahead.
no. Like, that's just like things like premonitions of trouble to come just because of certain things that was going around at the time. But what I did dislike about him personally was that we had kind of a mirror image of each other where it's like when we get upset, we'll say what we say, and there we go, we'd headbutt, and nobody was backing down. And it's like, okay, and what? That was that like, okay, so what? So what? Like, you mad, I'm mad, and what? And maybe just that we both were stubborn and we just used to bump heads and clash. but that wasn't often because most of the time we were having a good time. But when we bumped heads and nobody was backing down and nobody was apologizing. So,
So that's something that you hated, like his stubbornness,
yeah, because
which is something, a quality
I'm
that
used
you
to getting
also
my
share.
way. So,
Oh, you used to see. I told you, Brooklyn girls, they be so prim and proper. You're just a princess. Ooh, but then you're crazy too. So it's like,
whatever.
all right. So while he's locked up in prison, he starts plotting revenge on Biggie and Bad Boy. Could you speak a little bit more to his plans as far as like what he told you directly?
Well, it wasn't just to them, it was to the people that, actually set him up to be shot as well. And, his plan was to get his money right, to put himself in a position where he was financially secure because, if your money's right, you could do a lot. And
You can wage war if you actually
you
have
got to have your
money.
money together. So, his part of his plot was to be successful, align himself with the right team, and basically to shut them down. Make his music, shut him down, like just take over that and other things as well. But I'll leave that to the street. He didn't elaborate that much.
Okay. Now Faith has been doing interviews for the last
Mm-hmm.
2 decades saying that Tupac lied and hit him up about sleeping with her. I
Mm-hmm.
understand that you were actually the one that like worked with Tupac, to come up with the plot to sleep with her. Tell me a little bit more about the role you played in this genius and devilish plan
So yeah,
to avenge, to for revenge because he was out for
yeah,
revenge.
that was his way of getting big back immediately. Was he was like he gonna fuck one of his bitches, and he was like Kim, and I was like Kim or Faith, and I was like, I think you got a better chance fucking Faith because before I knew that they weren't on good terms, I lived maybe 10 blocks away from where Big lived at. So I would, occasionally like the hood would get together. Everybody would ride out, go to his shows and stuff like that. And this is at around the time he married Faith. So I'm like, and then, being around that circle, hearing this nigga's fucking everything moving still, even though he's married, they having problems, she constantly catching him and shit. So I was like, she's probably the weakest link because when your man is embarrassing you publicly, sometimes you got some
You
frustration
want
and
to
you
get
got
it
some
back.
you got a little revenge streak in you. So I was like, I think, you might want to go after her instead of little Kim because I feel like she's more loyal or more of a rider to him. So, that was how we got that cracking. And when he got out, as fate would have it, very soon he bumped into her. And after he fucked her, the next so I'm in Queens, he's in California. That afternoon he called me and he called me and told me that he did it. First he's like, I did it. I told you I'd do it. I did it. And I'm like, yeah, what did you do? And he's like, yeah, I just that bitch. And I was like, oh wow. I'm like, yay, great, okay. And we
And how
spoke.
did you react?
Um I was dry.
Honestly, how did you react in the moment?
I was dry. I was like, "Oh, okay. Yay." Like, but it was killing me. Yes, it was killing me inside. But, I was like, "Okay, great. Yay." Then he, switched up the subject and he's like, "I'm about to send for you to come out here." And I was like, "All right, cool, whatever, whatever." And he's like, "When, you're available." So that changed the subject and then I was like, "Cool." But as soon as I hung up the phone with him, I got this urge to just vomit. Like I was just so upset, hurt, like disgusted. And then I started throwing up to the point where I ended up having to go to the emergency room that night because I like choked on my own throw up, and my uh, irises became bloodshot red. It looked like they thought I had been strangled. Like that's how uncontrollable I started
Oh my
vomiting.
gosh.
That's why.
Now, were you so
Mhm.
were you disgusted because here's the man you love calling you, telling you that he just another woman, or were you disgusted because it was Faith? I
No,
mean, just for
I was
clarity.
disgusted because I loved him, and it just like I loved him, and even though I thought I could stomach, because it's like we discussed this, and you're calling
Yeah.
me because it's like, yeah, we hatched this little plan, and we talked about this, and
It
boom,
was
I
cute
did
in the
it.
planning phases.
It was, and in reality, it was too much for me to handle, and that's how I know, like, I don't, in theory, it sounds good, but I don't think I would have been able to be a part of the harem because I want more. I wanted more, but I wanted him too bad. So that was a fight, an inner fight.
Oh my gosh. So when you guys were originally discussing it, did he automatically say like I'm going to get at Kim? Like did he ever say anything to you about being attracted to Kim, or was
No,
it just
mm-mm.
like
No, he just, I don't think I think if they wouldn't have been attached to Big, I don't even think they would have been on the radar. He wasn't attracted to
okay.
Kim or nothing like that. It was just he knew this nigga was fucking with her for a minute, and then he ups and marries Faith out the blue, like out of nowhere. But everybody knew Kim was his bitch, so
Mhm.
you know it was like sometimes a man's wife is his wife, and his other is maybe his heart. So you know, I think that's more along the lines he was just trying to get at whatever was going to hurt and embarrass him.
Mm, okay. Okay, so Faith said in her memoir that Pac demanded that she suck his wee wee so that she can
His
get
wee
paid for the song, so that she can get paid for the song "Wonder Why They Call You Bitch," and that she didn't know, she had no idea that Tupac was signed to Death Row before going over there to record the song. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's comedy. I think that's comedy because she didn't know that Suge was on death row, and she signed to Bad Boy, and Suge was fucking Puff's baby mama, and Pac was fucking her best friend.
Who her best friend? Who was the best friend?
Who still is her best friend?
Oh, I don't know, Miss Desiree. I'm trying to get you to say it.
I know, but she's
Would this
in.
lady
Look,
happen to be? Would she happen to be a singer who just was successful for the last
absolutely,
4 decades?
absolutely,
And would this singer
absolutely,
happen to have an album titled "My Life"?
absolutely. You got it. So
Okay.
yeah, so Faith want to act. Faith just lying off the like. She just gonna run with this lie and go with it. Ain't nobody tell her about no sucking, no weep. Suck his dick to get paid. I never heard that
That's what she
before.
put in the book.
I wouldn't even read
That's
her
what she
book.
put in the book.
That's what you call fiction, not fact.
Yeah, she said that Tupac demanded that
Demanded.
she suck his wee wee before she got her check
Oh, okay. Well, she got a check.
for the song
She
"Wonder
got
Why
her
They Call You
check, but
Bitch."
she didn't suck no wee wee. And they couldn't release the song.
Right.
As soon as I got to LA, the next day he took me to the studio to play me her version and told me like they wouldn't clear it, but they did the song.
He
Like
got it.
she's a fiction writer.
Do you think Tupac ever lied on? Do you think he ever lied or would ever lie on his?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So here's two things we're going to go on. Now, normally when somebody's these first we're going to deal with that, but of the people that he said he had sex with, nobody else is saying that he didn't. And he really wasn't a kiss and tell. You just was dumb.
It was just Faith.
You thought he liked you. You didn't never cross your mind. He got a problem with your man. Now you did that on spite. And you just don't want to, say what it is. It is what it is. He didn't lie on his dick. He ain't never lied on his dick. He don't got to lie on his dick. Just throwing themselves at him by the dozens. But also on that aspect as well, going back to the case. So just one person, nobody's never come out ever again and say any type of story about this man doing anything.
That's why I don't believe it.
Now you see these other people that are being accused of sexual assault, rape, things like that.
Rapists don't just rape
They
once.
keep that's a pattern. Yeah, that's a habit. So no, he's not a liar. Not about his dick, and not about touching or doing anything with anybody, forcing them to do anything. He wasn't asking that lady to suck his dick for no damn check because she already fucked him. So that's just another one of her lies to cover her tracks. Those who know.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, just me as a spectator, I think that if I'm shooting Faith some bell, to be fair, she Tupac, she wanted the spider, but she didn't know that they both were gonna die the way that they
True.
died. So, is that why you think she's carried the lie out for so long? Because of
Um,
how things ended?
nope. Two, she wants to save face and not look like a whore. And I believe that she has a child with Big, and she don't want to tarnish that image of their relationship and have her son look at her any different. Because being put in her shoes, that's what I would think. Like, I got this man's child. I'm not ever gonna say that I slept with his enemy. Because how does my son look and think about me at that point?
But do you think it would have been something? Let's just say hypothetically, Tupac and Biggie were still alive today. Do you think it still would have been something that she would have had trouble admitting to?
She still has that man's child at the end of the day. I think if she didn't maybe have children, whether they dead or alive, she probably might have kept it more real. She did what she did out of spite. She never intended for the world to know it. She was
Yeah.
being a sneak. And I mean, I don't know. I'm a dick like this. If I was her and I had the opportunity to fuck after laying up under Big, I would take it. But
Me too.
yeah, I would take it.
I would lie about it too, but I wouldn't keep
If I
lying on
have
his name. I would just tell people not to ask me about it in interviews.
No, she's adamant, but at the end of the day, she does have a child with Big. So you think about it. You don't have kids yet, but when you do, you will realize there's a lot of things I will and will not do because I have a child. And I'm not, especially a male child, I'm not going to embarrass my sons I have sons, but I wouldn't embarrass my son by letting him know I did some real thought shit with my husband, your dad's op. So yeah, I'm taking that to the grave.
And I can't say that I'm mad at her. I just don't like the fact that she be lying on my fave,
Yeah.
saying like putting out all these stories saying, "Oh, he told me that I gotta suck his dick to get paid," and it's just
Yeah,
like,
that's
girl,
crazy. That's
like
crazy. That's the
you
first time I
tripping.
heard that. That's crazy.
Yeah, she put that in her book.
What, you was giving prostitute? Why did he think that you had to get paid like suck dick for money?
She had to suck his willy to get the check.
That
Girl,
sounds
like
crazy. That don't even sound like that man. And I'm sure you do lots of interviews. Make sure you ask everybody who personally know him if that sounds like something he would do or say. Because I don't think not one person's gonna sit there and be like, "Yeah, that's Pac. He would have." Yeah, no, absolutely not. No
okay.
money for
Yeah,
favors.
yeah, I don't see it. But then, people tell me like, "Oh, well, you didn't know him. You never met him." So,
Well, I did.
it is what it is.
I did, and that's
Right,
totally out his
exactly.
character.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I want to take it back to Tupac and Stretch. Now, we got into it earlier a little bit where
Mm-hmm.
you were saying that Stretch tried to come at you or whatever, and while Tupac was in prison, you wrote him a letter letting him know, and then he vowed to get even with basically everybody that played them, and
Mm-hmm.
that just shit on him when he was at his lowest.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to ask you first, like, since you've been around both of them and you knew both of them, what was their relationship dynamic like? Was Stretch like the little homie to Pac, or was it kind of like equal, even though Pac was the superstar? What was it like?
It's weird. They were cool, and I did spend some time around Stretch before. Um, they were kind of on equal playing field, but Pop always had a way of just snatching the spotlight and kind of like little homie and people to a degree, So not everybody, because his relationship with Big was more like brothers, but you know,
Like Biggie was his equal.
yes. And I would say, like, not that he was like a little homie or son of him or nothing like that, but, Pop was just a certain way around his peers. And it's either you were equal or like, you were cool and, but he would fuck with you and play around or certain things. So, that type of dynamic is what I got from them.
Okay, now was there ever a time where you ever sensed any jealousy from Stretch?
Nah, not that I picked up on.
No.
We weren't like when
Okay.
we were around each other, it was more like outside or, something going on, like just around people, not just like
Mm-hmm.
me, him, and Stretch one on one. And I really, to be honest with you, when I was with Pac, I was paying attention to him, not so much, unless I'm having a conversation or interacting, or like when I went around his family, then I was more so like, I wasn't like super friendly with his boys, when I was around him.
Yeah, but you know how we got that womanly intuition. Like, 9 times out of 10, it's usually a woman that'll telling it like, "Yo, this nigga
Watch
that
up. Yeah.
you friends with, he's
You're right
not
about
one.
that. I
He
didn't
got
get
some
that
funny shit
vibe.
going on."
I didn't get that vibe from him. I didn't pick up on that.
Okay. Now, did Pac ever vent to you about how Stretch handled the situation the night at Quad Studios while he was in prison?
Uh, he did not. He did not. He told me though that when after everything happened that Stretch started moving funny with him in certain ways and he didn't feel like, if he could really trust him anymore.
Hmm. Okay.
That I remember.
Um.
And then, just solidifying it when he came by my crib and he was with, Biggs peoples, he was just like, yeah, this nigga, I don't know. I don't know like what side he's on and what he's really doing.
Okay. So Stretch got killed exactly 1 year to the day that Tupac got shot at Quad Studios.
Mm.
Pac gets shot November 30th, 1994. Stretch gets killed November 30th, 1995. There's been a long-standing rumor that Pac had him murdered to avenge the Quad Studios incidents. People been saying for years that like Stretch set him up that night. What are your thoughts? And do you think that Pac could have been behind his murder, or is it all just merely a coincidence?
Mm. I don't believe in
Are you gonna plead the
coincidence.
fifth?
I don't believe in coincidences. And he never told me that he did that. But he did call me and tell me that he died.
Oh, okay. Okay. So when he called, what was like the vibe? What was like, what exactly did he say?
He asked me,
Of course, I'm
did
sure.
I hear? Did he ask me if I heard that Stretch got killed last night? And I said, I did not. And I asked him what, like, I was like, he got killed. Where? Like, what the? And yeah, I don't remember the rest of that conversation.
Okay. I'm gonna take your word for it. I believe you.
So,
All right. I believe you, Desiree.
but I mean,
Okay,
yeah.
so
Mm.
no. Go ahead. Go
No,
ahead. Go
that's it.
what?
I don't recall anything else. I just remember he called me and told me that he got killed in the drive-by shooting.
Mm, that's real interesting to me as a fan that he just mistaken. He just coincidentally he just dies on the
No, I
exact
think that
day
I
a
mean I
year
feel the same
later.
way. Like that, I truly like. I'm not even being funny. I don't believe in coincidences. That's crazy that that he died like a year to the date.
Did you realize that in the moment,
No,
like back then?
mm-mm, I didn't.
So when did you realize that? Like, was it years
Years
later?
later, I realized that because everything like just went fast after that, and once he passed away, I just kind of like mentally shut down. So for a while,
Mm,
but yeah, I did end up hearing later, like I don't remember, maybe not years, but I did hear like it was exactly to the day. I heard the rumors you said as well. I don't know though, honestly.
yeah, I have this whole theory, but
Tell me your theory.
So okay, Tupac and Kadada Jones.
Mm,
Okay.
yes,
Oh, why the look, Desiree? why, why the look?
I'm not a fan of her.
Mm, I get it. Okay, so we
It's
spoke
not
off the
jealousy
record.
though. Look, it's not jealousy. I don't, I don't rate her too much as a human being. But all right, what's your question?
So we spoke off the record, and I told you that my theory was that Pac was ultimately with Kadada to further his career.
Hmm.
With Quincy Jones, who's like an icon in the music industry, being her father.
Hmm.
Did he ever talk to you about their relationship?
No, nope. Um,
Why do you think he talked to you about every other woman that
oh
rocked his body?
no, because when I went to visit him in LA, I think it was like November, the following November. Was it November or December? Whenever I went to visit him after he got out, and at the time they weren't together, and we got into something at that time, and we didn't speak, and he got with her, and
Oh, so basically every time he got mad at you, he just would that's how he would get back at you, like just get another girl.
well, I don't know about that, but I know that she definitely had the right last name and a position of power in Hollywood, which is bigger than the power in New York. And, I don't know what his feelings were towards her. I do know that they were engaged. Um, Whether or not they would have got married, that's up in the air. Probably could have happened. Whether they would have stayed married, just off of me knowing him the way I do, I don't think that was going to work. But yeah, I think, when you playing chess, you want to have the right pieces, and she's a heavy hitter in the industry due to her connections with her father.
For sure. Now, you spilled some tea to me off the record
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't even know. Cuz up until I talked to you, I always thought that it was them two being engaged was all speculative
Mm-mm.
until you confirmed, and you told me something that was interesting that I do not think the general public knows.
Yeah, what's that?
So I want you to tell the public what you told me
Oh, that I saw her
about how
ring.
you knew that they were yes, about how
His
you knew that they
mother
were
told. Well,
engaged.
so when he was in the hospital, I was in Vegas, and I was out there. And one time I went to meet up with his mother before we were heading to the hospital. And, she kind of, pulled me to the side, and, she was talking, and she told me that they were engaged, that they were together and they were engaged. And okay, cool. I'm here because I just want him to know, like, I'm here. You know, I want to make sure you're good. I want you to know we cool. Whatever, no matter what, we're good. And the little while,
Basically, this bitch is not coming in between us.
yeah, she wasn't. So, but so yeah, she told me that, and then I bump into Kadada, his assistant, and someone else in the like coming out of his mom's room, and I saw her ring. She had a beautiful big ring, looked about good 4 carats. Uh, and I was like, oh, okay, like this is real. Look. So yes, they were engaged, and they were together.
Mm. Now, did you actually ever meet Kadada before Tupac got shot
No.
in Vegas and stuff like that?
Mm-mm. I met her the night that
You
I
never
got to the
met or
hospital.
spoke?
Never. I didn't know her. And the only time I had been to LA was when I was with him. So, I wasn't like, I never was out there like partying and, being in circles like I was in New York. So I didn't know pretty much anybody from out there really.
Mm. You ran into her years
I
later
sure
after his
did.
death.
I sure did.
Tell me about that. Why? Because I want to know. I want to get to the bottom of why you don't really f with her. Because even like his other chicks, it's no like I can tell when you talk about him. There's no beef with Keisha Morris. There's no beef with like any of the other
Absolutely
girls. But
not.
for whatever reason,
Because I
Kadada
like
Jones
women that
is like
act
a
like
thorn in your
women.
side.
Because when I showed up to the hospital when he was shot, um, I came and I asked, for a family member, somebody to come out, that I was a personal friend of his. And
Mm-hmm.
instead of them going and getting a family, well, they got his cousin, and his cousin and Kadada came out. So his female cousin Mo. And her energy was crazy to me. This man is in the hospital. They're taking out his lung. Like he's had all these gunshots and wounds to his body. And you're fucking pissed because a female shows up at the hospital. You're rolling your eyes with a fucking entitled attitude. Like everything about her was just like everything I'm not and everything I dislike. And I just didn't like it. I felt like you should be more concerned about your man laying in the hospital bed than me because I paid my dues. I spent my time. I proved my loyalty to him. And I care about him, whether I'm with him or not. So if I want to come and check on somebody that I love, I didn't come there to be with your man. I wanted to make sure he was okay because I knew this was serious. Okay. So that turned me off. And, just, but I don't know, because I can put myself in her shoes, but I would have been more focused on
You was
the
just probably
man.
the easiest thing to focus on and be mad
Maybe.
at the time.
Whatever it was, but she was mad years later. She was still fucking pissed.
Really.
Hell yeah. Hell
So
yeah.
what happened when you seen her like after Tupac's death?
So, my oldest child's father, aunt, she does special events for a lot of high profile people, even to even Puff. So she was we had a fashion show with Rockefeller and Tommy Hilfiger, and they were doing a collaboration. So she was I think like a collaborator with them on the brand for that thing. So we're over there, at Tommy Hilfiger's office, getting the plays for what we're going to do for the fashion show and the party afterwards. And she comes in and she sees me and the stink face again. And I'm like, oh, so, you know, she did some.
Like, girl, let it
No,
go.
she didn't
Like,
let it.
Tupac is
She didn't let it
gone.
go because she went to Tommy and Andy and basically told them to tell my ex sister-in-law like that there's a problem and she don't want me there. And so then I ended up having to work from the office instead of being in the thing. But I was gonna go to the show, but then I had a fallout with my son's father at the time. So it was just like, you that bothered, ma'am? You really pissed? I don't know why. I mean, I do know why.
Why?
Because whatever insecure, I don't know. To be honest, I could only assume that she felt like I was just some little fan or groupie or something. And then when I was there the whole time for the whole 7 days, and I say maybe, she felt like maybe when she saw me, I was like some fucking fan or some fucking groupie. The next thing I'm there at the hotel staying with them, and you know, I go back to LA with his mom. Like, so I'm sure she was hearing some of these things, and it probably irritated her, but you know,
She probably saw like that you wasn't just any bitch and like you was really tapped in with the family.
I
And
think
that's probably what intimidated
I
her.
think that could be. That truly could be. So
So did Tupac ever talk to you about an alleged nine-figure deal that he had on the table with Quincy Jones?
no,
Have you ever heard of that?
no, mm-mm.
That supposedly he was about to sign this record deal for $100 million.
Now that's I didn't never hear about that.
It was supposed to be like a distribution deal, and that Quincy Jones was gonna like
Wait a minute.
he was gonna put
He
it
was
all
gonna
together.
put. Was this for music or this was for his film company? Because I did hear about the film company Euthanasia, and that I don't know that. But I didn't hear that he was gonna sign with Quincy. But I do know that he was trying to do that because he was trying to get into making movies and writing, scripts and things like that.
Yeah, did he ever tell you anything about that?
Nothing
Any
about
deal
with
that he was
Quincy
supposed to
because
have
when he
with
was
Quincy?
with Kadada, me and him weren't on the ons. So I don't
Okay.
have any information pertaining to anything to do with her or her dad.
Okay. All right. So this contract that Pac had you witness between him and David Kenner,
Mm-hmm.
let me see. I'm gonna send it to you. Or unless you know exactly which one I'm talking
I
about,
know.
the
I
contract.
know.
Okay. So, can you take me through this day? What was the entire day like? Did Tupac kind of have to prep you before David Kenner came to the prison, or was it just kind of like on a whim? Like, since you were sitting there, like, hey, Des, I need you to witness this.
Oh, it was definitely because I was there on the visit with him before they even came in, you know.
Okay.
But was it just me? I feel like I don't know if it was his cousin or Gaddafi was there that day too. But he did ask me to sign. But yeah.
Okay. Were you there for any of his other meetings between him, David Kenner, or Suge Knight?
One day I was there when Suge came by himself before David Kenner came with him to sign that contract.
Okay, now when you were around Suge and David Kenner, what was their energy like? Because David Kenner is like a fucking ghost. Like I've always heard his name, but I've never heard his voice. I never heard him say anything. And then we all know Suge Knight's reputation. So from your personal point of view, what was there? What did you feel when you were around these two individuals?
I felt like the lawyer was a little slippery. He definitely gave, mob lawyer vibes. um, but Suge, he just was huge. Like I really wasn't trying to like look at him too much. But when he came in the room, like it was like this giant figure, and not just the height, but his energy was big. Um, but he was cool. Like him and Pac was just chopping it up like boys. Like they knew each other for a while. Like and I was just sitting there minding as much of my business as I could. Trying to stay out their thing because they just came in to deal with what they were dealing with, and then they were going to leave. Me and him were already on the visit, and I was going to be there after they stepped out. But um, I was more watching the little greasy one because David Kennedy,
David
like,
Kenner.
yeah,
What was it about him that gave you slimy vibes?
I don't
Like,
know. He
did
just
he
gave
say
me
something? Was
mafioso,
it
like the way he dressed, the way he walked, like his mannerisms. He definitely wasn't giving lawyer. He was giving like he was had mob ties.
mm,
His swag,
that's
everything about him.
interesting.
You look at pictures of him, and you look the way like he doesn't look like an LA person. He looks like a New York guy, or at least like what we see down in Arthur Avenue or Little Italy. Like that's the vibes he was more so impersonating.
Yeah, because it's hard for me to tell because I've never heard David Kenner's voice. Like,
Mm,
in interviews, I've never heard him talk about his death row days. So I would assume that it's because his hands wasn't clean. So, and to talk means
you're pretty
that he
smart.
would have to tell on himself
Exactly.
too.
Exactly.
So moving right along to Pac getting out of prison,
Hmm.
were you there the first day he got out? And if you were, take me through how you ended up in LA so soon after his release.
So I wasn't there when he got out. I was back in the city. I had gone to go get like his outfit, everything he wore that day. I purchased and picked out for him, and I had went home, and he was going to go to LA, get everything situated. And that was the game plan. And then how did I get out? I mean, basically, like I told you, when first he called me and told me he faith. No, first Stretch died first. Then when he called me and told me he faith, that's when we had the conversation. And he was like, "I want to send for you. So like, when you're ready, like a couple days, a week, what do you need, to be ready to come out here?" So that's how all that went too.
Okay. Now All Eyes on Me drops. Tell me what the energy was like surrounding the album, both in LA and in New York.
New York was a little bit trying to hate on it, um, because of
Typical.
this alleged West Coast, East Coast beef. But people who, real people loved, but the music spoke for itself. So, you know,
5 million in 2 months. Somebody liked it.
exactly. So, they were haters, people that, stands on Biggie's side, but for the most part, everybody loved it. The music was original. It was different at the time. It's always he's speaking from the heart. LA, well, LA, I mean, everywhere that Pac went, he's like an enigma. So they was loving it. They were loving him. And they loved him before, but that just elevated, and just showcased his talent so well. I loved it.
What's some of your favorite songs just off the All Eyes on Me album? Top five.
Off that album,
Yes, that album specifically.
Picture Me
You already
Rolling.
said I ain't mad at you. You
Yeah.
already said I'd rather be in there. Now you got three more.
Picture Me Rolling, Ambitions as a Rider, and
Run the streets? No.
I did like a lot of the songs that he did with Michelle A, though. I like Wonder Why They Call You Bitch.
Yeah, the one without faith,
Yeah, I
huh?
like the one without Faith. I mean, her version was cool too, but Michelle A rocked that shit.
So, did Pac ever talk to you or vent to you about his father, Billy Garland, and just finding out as an adult that his father was not, in fact, dead?
He did. He did.
Care to share anything he said, or are you going to put it in the book?
No, I'll be honest. Um, he, he felt away because his mom didn't tell him the truth, for so long, and he mourned someone that he thought was his dad, and he also, just had this thing like, yo, I could literally like have my sisters. Like, I have siblings out here that I didn't even know. You know what I'm saying? And the lifestyle that he was living, and he's like, that's just crazy. Like, it was baffling to him, like, and then he wanted to meet his dad, and he wanted to meet, know his siblings.
And what was his relationship, to your knowledge, what was his relationship like with Billy Garland when he finally found out about him after getting shot?
Yeah, it was it was like he didn't really know what his true intentions are, but he also wanted to get to know him as well because he was curious. So it was kind of like that type of thing, but it was crazy because I ended up seeing his dad one time and meeting him. And This man walks like his dad, like that he didn't know, like his mannerisms,
Cause
his
he looked just like his father. I can understand why they didn't need a blood test
and his
because
grandmother looks. If you've ever seen a picture
yes,
of that, is the spitting image. The eyes, like his
the
eyes.
lashes and everything. I'm like, I didn't realize how much he Tupac looked like a girl until I saw the picture of his grandma.
Okay, well, he did have some beautiful eyelashes, but
Yeah, it's the
he was a
lashes.
beautiful
Like it's
man.
like,
Yeah.
yo, pay for full sets these days. Like,
That is always baffling to me how men have the most beautifulest eyebrows and lashes, but yet we're the ones that have to pay to keep
yes.
ours up. So yeah,
He had dreamy
he
eyes, like
did.
he had the juiciest eyes, like his grandmom. And I thought he had a Feeny smile until I saw that picture of his grandmom.
Yeah, he definitely. So yeah, that was just wild to me. Like seeing the spitting like image of this person.
Mm. You spent a lot of time around Pac's family. What was his relationship like with the women in his life, particularly his mother and his sister Setua?
Um, he adored his mother. You know, he loved his mother. He respected his mother's opinions and her way of thinking. And she's somebody that he went to every time, he was in a jam or needed advice. It was his mother that he ran to. And I think he had a very strong, feminine, structured family, even his aunt, his mother's sister, and his relationship with his little sister.
His Aunt Glow, you
Yes,
mean?
yes, yeah. I met her as well. Like he has strong women in his family, smart women. So, and he loved that. He loved having that to go to. And his relationship with his little sister, when I first met her and them, she was younger, on the younger side. So, he was just trying to protect her, and all the kids was running wild while he was locked up. So he came out, he got a nephew or a niece. Wait, it was a niece. Or was it a nephew? I just know.
He had a nephew with Edie.
Okay.
His sister had a baby
Yes.
by Edie.
So yeah. So he was a little tight. Like wow. Like this is what. But and that's his little sister. So he just was like he was protective of her, from what I got.
I love that. Cause I read the saddest shit ever in this book that Afeni Shakur co-wrote with Jasmine Guy.
Hmm.
And in the book, there's like a point in the book where Jasmine Guy interviews Setua, and she was just talking about how around the time Tupac died, she just was so low. She was extremely depressed. And she said that she was gonna kill herself, but then she got the call that Tupac had been shot, and she felt like now I can't even kill myself because nobody's going to care anyway.
Oh,
Because basically, now Tupac he was like the apple of everybody's eye, and if she kill herself now, nobody's going to care. So I just thought it was like the saddest
that
ever.
does sound sad.
And wanted to know if you ever peeped anything, I guess, within their family dynamics that would confirm how she felt. Basically, that nobody really paid attention to her, like
I could see
like they
that.
did Tupac, or pedestalized
I
her
could
like
see
Pac was
that.
pedestalized.
You know, but I didn't see her going through that like type of turmoil. But I could see how she would feel that way from having been around them, because I mean, he's like, it's not like in the house he's Tupac the movies, but his energy, his personality is large, and everybody's focused on you. So I could see how she would feel, maybe dimmer compared to him.
Yeah, that made me sad when I read it. Actually made me cry.
Yeah, it's
And
not making me
I was
feel
probably
good.
like 16 when I first read that book. So,
Yeah.
teenagers really don't have any
And
compassion.
for
So
her to
for
be
that to
so
make me
young
cry.
too, yeah, that
Hmm?
doesn't, it don't make me feel good to hear that either. Like that's really sad.
Yeah, it was really sad. But the book that Afeni co-wrote with Jasmine Guy is pretty good. You should check it out. Let's see. I heard you say in an interview one time before that you and Pac were planning to have kids. Could you speak a little more to that? I understand that you two were going to name them Michelangelo and Star or something like that.
No. He wanted
No,
to
is that a
name his
rumor?
son Giovanni Supreme Shakur. And or if it was a girl, Giovanna Supreme, not Supreme, Sparkle Shakur. So
Oh wow. So why was he stuck on Gianni? Johnny, cuz in Italy that's like Gianni
Johnny, I don't know.
Versace.
That was just a name that he came up with. I don't know. He, that was
So like when you two would have conversations, like how would this fit in the midst of like him being engaged to Kadada and him still dealing with Keisha and
he was
what would this
married to Keisha still while we were having those conversations. Kadada wasn't a factor.
Oh.
Yeah, so
He was trying to trap you with a baby girl.
uh, he didn't have to trap me. I was already caught, but but yeah, that was his plans for when he came out. He wanted to have kids, not right away, but in the distant future. And I think that
Oh,
was around the
that's
time
sad.
too. I guess he started realizing that things weren't going to work out between him and Keisha. Um, because she started putting her foot down and like she had had enough. You know what I'm saying? And she was like, "I'm not going to do certain things." And no, like this is
Yeah.
getting out of hand. And when she started being like that, he started pulling away. And yeah, so he came to the realization that she
Um,
wasn't going to, be a doormat and or that she wasn't going to do what he wanted and that wasn't a part of the game plan probably upon entering their union. So
yeah. Do you remember the rumor that Wendy Williams put out about Tupac getting raped in jail in real time, or was that just something that people
I
started to
remember
say
that
when
rumor.
Wendy
Yes,
died?
I do. I surely do.
What was your reaction in real time to the rumor, and how did Tupac feel about it in real
Oh, he
time?
was tight. He was pissed because that didn't happen. He was in protect. He's like he was pissed. When I heard it, I hadn't spoken to him yet. I had sent the letter, and I didn't know what the hell to believe, but I didn't fully believe it. Like something in me was just like, I don't know about this. Like, I just felt like it's not in the paper. It's not on the news. Like it's out Kiss FM. I don't know about that. Like, so I wasn't sure. And I was just hoping that that was a bold-faced lie, which it was. And thank God, because yeah, that'd have been horrific.
For sure. Um, let's see. Did he ever vent to you about Wendy Williams saying that, like, after he came home from prison or anything?
He never said her name to me or talked about anything to do with that lady. I don't think it
Hmm.
was that.
Okay.
She wasn't, I guess, a big deal to him.
How do you feel about Wendy Williams today, 30 plus years later, and you read the headlines about her not no longer being in her right state of mind,
I feel bad for
and
her.
her husband cheating on her, and like the bank stealing her money,
Yeah,
and
I mean, I feel bad. I feel bad for her. Um, I have no ill will towards her, and she started a trend of the tea, and people,
I love Wendy Williams,
yeah.
minus her saying it about my fave.
Yeah, I didn't even know she was the one that started that rumor, but it sounds about right. But I feel bad to be at your most vulnerablest and your husband to leave you, cheat on you, have a baby with somebody else, lose all your money that you worked hard for. Yeah, that ain't right. I don't wish that on nobody, not even my worst enemy.
Hmm, I respect that. My next question is: do you have any reason to believe that Suge Knight would have set Tupac up to be killed for royalties? Do you think it was a setup that night when they both got shot in the car?
No, I don't think
No.
that. I did think it at some points because there was just so much information going around, but for him to get grazed with that bullet in his head, it would have had to been a professional assassin, a military person. Like it would have had to been deep because you really got to know how to shoot your gun to not like it could have, an inch further and it would have blew his brains out. So I don't think that.
Were you ever around Tupac and Snoop Dogg? And did you ever sense any jealousy from Snoop Dogg when Pac got the death row?
Nope.
Because that's something that I've always been curious
I
about.
was not around that, and I never heard like the Outlaws or anybody say anything like that. I only met Snoop when Pac was already in the hospital in Vegas, so that was the first time I met him.
Oh, so he was there because there was some
Yes,
controversy that he wasn't even at the hospital, that he lied about it.
he was up. He came to the hospital. Him and MC Hammer came to the hospital.
Okay, thank you for confirming that because a lot of people, a lot of people who were around at that time, they they've kind of been debunking the fact that Snoop was there.
They were at the
And I
hospital.
just think that it was just a, huh?
They were at the hospital
Yeah, but what I think happened was that Snoop came when they weren't there. So they didn't see Snoop there, but
because
he
he
was still
came in the
there
middle
at
of
the
the
hospital.
night. Yes,
Yeah, okay. And how do you feel about Snoop Dogg now, even with like him, doing weird throughout the years, like or saying weird shit about Tupac throughout the years, and him still maintaining a relationship with Puffy even after Pac got killed?
yeah, that's us. I don't know. It kind of does give jealousy, and Pac's not here, so I don't see why you would be competing with somebody who's not here. That's kind of weak, but
Because he's above reproach, Desiree. That's why a lot of these niggas still be competing with Tupac.
hmm but
You can't compete with a ghost. He can do no wrong at this point.
that is a fact.
He can do no wrong. And then the silver lining, I think, in Pac dying so young is that he'll always and forever be a young nigga, which means that he'll always appeal to the young generation.
Yes,
He'll keep appeal like when we get old and when
younger
I'm
generation
60 and 70 and 80 years old, he's still
people
gonna be forever
of all
young.
ages listen to that man's music and are inspired by him. So you're right about that. He is the goat, the
For
only goat.
sure. I did want to ask you, obviously, September 7th was like probably the worst day in hip hop history where Pac gets shot in Vegas. I want you to take me through the night that you got the call that he got shot. Before, on the first night, what was your thought? What was your first thoughts?
I didn't know that he got shot that night. I was living in the Bay Area, and I went to sleep and I had just bad dreams all night. And I woke up
Mm.
real early and my mother called. And my mother's actually the person who told me he got shot. She thought I already knew. So, like when she told me that, and she told me, it's kind of serious this time. And I just remember walking into the office of the house I was staying in, sitting down and telling my friend I have to go to Vegas. I need to go to the airport right now. And I need to get a ticket and I need to go. Like I couldn't think about nothing else. I just had to get there, And I remember it was a short flight from there. You know, I didn't even know what hospital. I didn't know nothing. Like I just got on that plane and got my ass to Vegas. And when I got there, I think like the newspapers, or I asked the cab driver like what's the biggest hospital, and I pulled up, and I told you what happened when I pulled up. But it was crazy. It was crazy.
And when did you get there? Did you get there like the next day? So it would have been September 8th, or
Yes, I
was
got
it
there
like a
the
few
next
days in
day.
between from
hmm
you said you got there the next
Yeah, the
day?
next evening, because I was able to get a flight like about 5, 6 o'clock in the night.
Hmm. And those six that week that he lived, like, I understand that he'd been resuscitated multiple times and they had removed his lung and he
Middle
was missing a
finger.
finger, which are details that I didn't know up until a few years ago,
Mm,
when Napoleon shared it.
yeah.
um Knowing all that you know and seeing everything that you saw, how do you feel about Afeni Shakur's decision to pull the plug?
She loved her son, and I think she did what she thought was the best for him. Um, and people will say, "Oh, she should have let them bring him back or put him on life support." But in his 25 years, he went through a lot of and she made the best choice she could have made in that um, instance.
Mm.
He, I don't think he was gonna live, even though it seemed like it because they had plans for rehab and things like that. But I had like a really bad dream the night before he died. I was in the hospital with the boys and I fell asleep in there. And I don't want people thinking I'm crazy, but I dreamt my teeth were falling out in the hospital. And I told, yeah,
It means death, right?
yes, it does. And I told Yaki, and I was, and yeah, that we went back to the hotel, about 4 or 5 in the morning because everybody took shifts of the times so that nobody, like, he was never there alone. And the next day he died.
Mm.
And yeah,
and and how did that affect you, not just in that moment but for years to come, like, you know I
so
guess my question is, how long did it take you to get through the thick of the grieving process? Like, how many years? Was it 5? Was it 10?
I think I just started to feel it. I think I just, I think when I did the interview with Bolton the first time, it was because I was kind of somewhat healed. But you got to think about it. He died when I was 19 years old. And I wasn't an adult fully. I didn't know how to cope with that. I was very much in love with him, and we weren't speaking at the time. So don't you do it because we ain't gonna be doing that. Look, um,
I'm
yeah.
trying. I don't want to fuck up my makeup.
So, it had a long term effect on me. I wasn't okay for a long time. I was very depressed. I turned to alcohol.
Did you lose a lot of your memories? That happened to me when I lost my grandma, who was like everything to me. It's so many years that I feel like I just don't remember.
I don't remember some things, and some things I remember like it was yesterday. But yeah, just, I couldn't listen to the music. I couldn't watch. People told me about the resurrection. They told me about the book. I wouldn't touch it.
You
I
was all
couldn't
over
touch
it
it. If
too.
I
You were all over it.
I heard. And like when I'd be outside and people would drive by playing his music or certain songs, like it would just like I would tense up so bad. Like I couldn't hear his voice because like I really knew him and I really, really loved him. You know, that was like my first real love. And it was traumatic to lose somebody, in that way. It's ironic when you told me that his sister felt like, she wanted to kill herself. When I went back to LA with his mom, I would go out on the balcony and I thought about jumping off of it. And the only thing that stopped me is I thought about my parents and how they would feel. And I also thought how f***ed up it would be if I was to do that and like his mother just lost her son. So, I got my shit together as best I could, but it definitely affected me for a very, very long time because he should be here. He deserves to be here, and he would have grown up and matured, and he would have gave such a great present to the world in his art and his mind, and it just, it's not, it's fucked up. He should be here.
Mm. And how long did it take you after his death to get yourself acclimated to hearing his voice and listening to his music again? Was it a decade?
Longer. Uh, I would say in my 40s.
Mm.
20,
So that's, I
20,
mean, that's
20 years, 20
you
something.
pretty much just started you pretty much just started listening to his music again less than a decade ago.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. Mm.
Very,
Do you have any regrets
absolutely.
with regards to Tupac and you dating him?
I have,
Even though you couldn't have him to yourself.
do I have regrets on dating him? No. The only regret I have is that I didn't express myself better when that bike ride got done. I wish I could go back and not even get on it. And, I regret,
Not having kids.
I mean,
Okay, I'll leave it at
yeah,
that.
but at the same time, kids want their dad. And I don't know, but it would have been wonderful if he would have had a kid with me, anybody, like, just so that he would have left something on this earth of his besides his legacy and his music. But it's crazy because that will live longer than any children that he could have had. Like,
Exactly. I was gonna say, like, I see it a little differently because all I am is a fan.
mm-hmm,
I've never met him, and I think it's beautiful that his legacy is final. It doesn't necessarily end with him dying,
absolutely
obviously,
not.
because he's inspired so many people and so many different generations. Even me, I didn't become a Tupac fan until 2008, and he been dead well over 10 years.
Mm-hmm,
Since I became a fan, but I think that there's beauty in nobody coming behind him to like fuck up his legacy.
exactly.
Actually, because you know, even if he would have had kids, it's like, how do you fill the shoes or live up to um this mega star, this icon within pop culture, within American history, within hip hop culture? How do you measure up to
Those some
that?
big
What do
shoes to
you
fill.
do? You know what I'm saying? Like that's the catch 22 to being a celebrity's child. Right? Like even like Quincy Jones himself, he's such a giant that it's like there's nothing
There's
that his kids
can
can
do to
do
ever touch his legacy because
that will ever be impressive to the world. What could if Tupac had kids, what could they have done to measure up?
we'll never know, unfortunately.
Yeah, we'll never know. That's the fucked up part.
Exactly.
What's something about Tupac that the public would either be shocked to know or something that you wish I would have asked you during this interview?
Hmm. His musical taste, and he ate like a fat ass. um, yeah, like he loved all types of music. People would think, maybe like he's just straight hip hop, but he loved all genres of music. He in his spare time, like one of his favorite artists was Sarah McLachlan. Um, and yeah, he loved food. He ate
What's like
like
a what's a song that he put you on a song that nobody would expect him to know that he put you on that just stuck with you throughout the years?
Mm. I don't know if people didn't expect him to know it, but he two songs, like he really loved the OJ's Brandy. That was one of his favorites, but I'm sure that was inspired, like all of us, we listen to the music of our parents. And Sadie was another song he loved. I'm trying to and we both, like I said, set like we both kind of like discovered Sarah McLachlan at the same time. So like some of those her songs on her what was it, Fumbling Towards Ecstasy maybe was the name of the album, but some of those songs on there like were really good. I put him onto a song and then he made a song from the song as well.
What?
Who Do You Believe In was originally like a Jamiroquai song, and I heard it and I just like loved the melody to it. So when like that was one of our things that we used to do, like, that's back in the days where you had Tower Records or like the subscriptions, the CDs. So in the little CD player, so I would, I had my CD player, I would always like play music and he'd play music. And so I would bring him songs and be like, hey, listen to this, see how you like it. And when I went to visit him in LA, I remember specifically like, yo, I'm going to bring this album because like there's some really cool songs on here. I think he might be interested. And I showed it to him and he was like, all right. He's like, look, I'm going to go to the studio today. I'm going to be back in a couple hours. He's like, here's some money. Go shopping, do whatever you want to do. He's like, and when he came back, he put me on the couch, popped the CD in, and played it. And I was like, wow. Like, I couldn't believe, like, oh, he
And
really
he did it
liked
that
it.
fast?
That
Well, I'm not shocked.
girl,
I don't think I'm
he would
shocked.
sit on the
I'm
toilet while
messing.
taking a poop and write a song and come out the bathroom with, bam, like that fast. And not like he has to go back and keep correcting it over and over again. Like, he was the type of person that could, in one shot, knock it out the park. And it just was
Yeah,
all
I
like
saw footage of him
flowing
in the studio, and like he was writing so fast that it was
so
just
fast.
like I was amazed at how fast the words and the thoughts were coming to him as he was like scribbling them down on the
Hmm.
page.
Exactly. Like, it was just like, I don't even know. Like, it just doesn't make sense how, like, it's almost like he was touched with this, because the way it would come out and it would be perfect, you know, that's a talent.
For sure, it's. I think it's deeper than a talent. It's a
It's a,
purpose.
yes. He was definitely put
For
on this
sure.
earth to speak and give a message.
For sure. Well, all right. I think that's all I had to ask. I asked you all of
All
the
right, what's your,
questions.
you ready to get off the record? Can I get my coat now?
Yes. Well, Desiree, I've had you here for 3 hours, a little over 3 hours, about 3 hours and 15 minutes. And I really wanted to say from the bottom of my heart that I appreciate you for, allowing Mighty to trust you or trust me with you. We really wanted you to
Uh-huh.
be comfortable during this interview, your second sit down interview on the Art of Dialogue. And I speak for myself, I speak for Mighty when, I say thank you, for
Well,
just
thank you for
not
having
only
me. It was a
showing up, but
pleasure.
just keeping it a being too, like just being real in all of your responses.
It was a
And
pleasure.
and I hope to talk to you soon.
Absolutely. You take care, and I appreciate you having me here. Didn't even seem like 3 hours.
I love that. I love that.
And thank you for being a fan who's dedicated and has done their research. So you asked me all the good questions, and I'm glad that I hope you got the greatest interview you was waiting for. All right.